Perfect. Just the person I need to see. Firstly, loving the outfit, by the way. Really suits your hair. Secondly, the universe is falling apart. I don't have much time to yet. I need to shoot off. I need to do something. But by all means, this is imperative. Watch Type 40. The Type 40 podcast is where you need to be. Seguida!
Oh, back again for Type 40 Live. We're materialising here again with the live stream Doctor Who magazine show across your view screen in real time on Rumble, X, YouTube and on Facebook too. Each time we're in front of a live chat full of friends, fans and companions just like you. I'm Dan Hadley, Birmingham's King of the Geeks, hitting the fast return with this follow-up show in our regular Thursday slot. By now, it should be more than obvious than ever how all opinions here at Type 40 are welcome. What on earth am I going to say this time? Stick around and hear it all for yourself. One thing that can't be argued is this show wouldn't be the same without you, of course. And so we're getting together from across the world on this one, 1 week into the new age of Doctor Who on its global home. It's all been premiered. I'm sure we're going to have some fun too, so stay tuned, everybody. Stay tuned. That includes you.
Hi guys, and welcome to Type 40.
Yeah, something to make a song and dance about again here at Type 40 Live. Can't wait to get cracking and get your comments too. Big show the other night. Yeah, it was supposed to be a short one. We kind of threw it together, but it went on, didn't it? We really got into the weeds there, and there was so much that was left unsaid as well. So we'll try and pick up on some of that. Of course we can, and blow off some more steam while we're shaking ourselves loose. I wonder if they're down for that. They look a little bit worried. Let's find out. Let's find out when I bring them into the console room. Hello. Yes, so quick reminder, of course, if you're over there in the Type 40 Facebook group, hi everybody, hi. Yes, you've got to remember to hit the little blue link, and then Facebook will tell StreamYard who you are, and StreamYard will tell us here at the console room, and we can all get on first name terms, can't we, before all the billing and the cooing and the ranting and the raving starts. More Doctor Who coming up in a couple of days. My God, where will it end? I tell you where it did start. It sort of started here, didn't it? In the Tardis. All those years ago, 61 years ago. It looks a little different to then, but I thought we'd go back to a happy place this time, and a time as well, I think. I'd forgot this, Charlotte, because there was gantries and walkways, even then, back in 2010, wasn't there?
Oh, yeah, there was levels. That's TARDIS definitely.
On the levels.
Think Matt's TARDIS was, in the new run, was the first to definitely emphasise that it was different levels and it could do lots of different things, whereas the original Davies one was quite a flat set, was the same level. It didn't really have a lot of stairs or anything else set from the console pretty much in the middle of it.
When they premiered that one, I remember thinking how funky it was, how next level they'd gone, just by the fact that they had to walk up a little ramp to get to the TARDIS.
Well, because I can just, but then in the episodes they played with it, which was lovely, like Matt would sometimes be underneath doing like repair work and doing stuff to the TARDIS, and then sometimes Amy or Rory would be on one of the upper levels talking down to Matt. They definitely realised that it added a lot more to the scenes to play with that space that they, I think, deliberately created in Matt's TARDIS.
It's wonderful, isn't it, to look back at this show, and I think whether we're looking back to stuff that was 14 years ago or 40 years ago, and sort of to plot the little ways in which it's all evolved and all come together. I mean, this seems like the recent past to me, and I would imagine it does to a lot of people out there, but there's so much charm now. When I look back at pictures from, it seems a little quaint. Do you know what I mean?
Well, yeah, I think anything compared to the current TARDIS looks quaint.
Could be seen as quaint. Speaking about the current TARDIS, one thing I like about it, and yes, I think even Matt Pott likes this, is the fact that it can change colours. And we've seen it in blue and with a kind of reddy hue. And just lately, it's been purple. And in fact, it looks like our next correspondent, this is our American correspondent, is calling in from the purple TARDIS. I'm happy to say he's back on the show after a couple of months away. We've brought him back in to give us his take on what's been going on. Going to get into all of that, I'm sure, with Dr. Scott from the game closet again.
Hello. Good to see you all.
Hello.
Hello.
We've got both hands. Hello. You're feeling well, mate?
Yes, as I mentioned before the show, I've been so busy today getting things done and getting this all cleaned up because I just put it in a new shelf, as I told you, and I've been staying busy, been very busy. So I'm happy.
Don't come in here flaunting your masculinity and your capability at me.
No. This is all a sham. It's not capability. It just falls together. You know, I am amazed myself. I love.
So you couldn't put together this then?
Well, I did build my own police box, but I don't know if I could build that. That was a feat. I loved that with all the levels, like Shar was saying, you know, with all the levels, and they could, you know, kind of talk up to one another and down. You know, it gave a different depth, and it had such personality. Not that the Coral didn't. I did like David's previous iteration, the Coral. But this one just had such personality, didn't it?
Speaking of personality, let's bring him on. Another combatant into the arena. He's gone all, I can see the whites of his eyes here. Yes, I am talking about you, John Yulden. I'm talking about you.
Hey, how you doing? How is everyone? All right?
Good, thanks, buddy. How about you? What's going on?
Yeah, living the dream. It's great.
That good, eh? The weekend is in sight, my friend. The weekend is in sight.
There's hope. There is hope. Come on, everyone.
Let's hope
it's going to be good.
So what do you make of this? Do you see what I mean? You look back at pictures now from really not that long ago, and you think, wow, how far have we come production-wise?
Yeah, I actually prefer this to what we got now. And I just, you know, I think it's that old thing of, yeah, you can have all the money in the world, but it doesn't mean you're going to get better. And I just think this was nice, but I will say the console and the interior that comes after this is my favorite. I love it. You know, so it's the 50th.
I think that's my favorite one.
Yeah, it's great.
Three-dimensional, shootable in any angle. That was brilliant. And I liked it when Peter took over, because then he added a few bookshelves and things like that, so it kind of had more of a homey look.
And
I'm with you.
Yeah.
I'm with you completely. Yeah, speaking about home, Scott, speaking about home, I don't know if you've noticed this, but Doctor Who is back on the TV. And over here in Britain, they kind of left the advertising quite late. So we finally got these boards springing up all over the country, electronic sort of billboards. The Doctor, Ruby, and the logo, they sort of ripple away there like that for about 30 seconds, and then something else pops up. You've got to wait for it to come back around again. We've been marvelling at how much promotion you guys have been getting over there in America. It's been mind-blowing, actually, seeing posters in American streets, for example. This big poster that we're all used to seeing, this key art, but seeing it next to American shops on American sidewalks. So that's one thing. But then the sight of the subway train on the New York subway wrapped in Doctor Who livery. This seems like something I never thought I'd ever see. So this is kind of blowing my mind a little bit. But over there, actually, in America, what's the mood there? Is this as prevalent as it looks to us? Is it having an impact? And has Doctor Who are you very aware over there that Doctor Who has arrived and that it is global now? Is it working in that respect at least?
The only thing that I'm aware of is what I see, whether I'm watching something on my phone or on television. I mean, of course, when I turn on Disney Plus, that's the first thing you see. And I have a 5-year-old, almost 6-year-old in the house, so it's just like,
really?
Boom, there it is.
Okay.
And I live in a small, well, I wouldn't say a small college town, but a small enough college town near Toledo, Ohio. I live in Bowling Green. And Bowling Green State University, I've not been to the university yet and actually been on campus in the last couple of months to see if they have anything up, because sometimes you'll see that stuff up there.
Yeah.
But I really haven't seen anything myself anywhere, except I have seen in a couple of bookstores, you'll see magazines and such. But since I haven't been anywhere where there's a large population, I've not seen anything like that. But I am aware.
Oh, I see.
I am aware strictly just because of its presence digitally on television and say like on YouTube, I'll see an ad or something like that. But for a company that's struggling financially, Disney sure is putting a lot into the marketing, aren't they?
Didn't they lose sort of 25 billion just last week? That's what we're hearing, John. Have you heard that as well?
Yeah, I heard that, and I think I saw earlier today that their stock has taken a further hit as well because he's Iger's trying to change the direction of investors at the moment, isn't he? And it's not working. So they're obviously doing a whip round for promotional stuff for Doctor Who at the moment.
Yeah, that's going to be a trick. That's going to be a tricky one to pull off. And talking about things that are tricky to pull off, yes, he's up, he's awake, and he's on the other side of the world. So you'd need a hell of a reach around to get to our friend, Mr. Matt Potts.
Yay!
Oh God! Now I'm confident. Now, oh my goodness! Hello.
I was going to say good evening, sir, but it's good morning, sir.
Morning,
He's the only real-life time traveller here. Oh no, we've got 2 real-life time travellers, haven't we? So technically, but is it still?
I'm in the future. Yeah,
you're
still in the past.
Scott's in the past. Yeah, 'cause it's Thursday afternoon for you.
Yes, it's 3:13 p.m. here. So.
This is like something that Stephen Moffat would write, isn't it? So yeah, Matt, thanks for getting up for us again. How are you today?
I'm timey-wimey. Yeah.
You are. I see you've gone quite.
I'm half asleep. So
you've gone quite patriotic there as well. You've got your flag of your nation, your proud nation behind you.
Yeah, we've had a lot of issues lately about colonialism, which is a fantastic way of pointing out, that we're all bad people. For living
we get told we're bad people here as well, mate. I tell you what will make you feel a little bit better, and maybe this will enlighten you as well, Scott, if you're not aware of it, because the whole campaign has continued in the States. We've got some pictures here of now. I like these pictures mainly because he's dressed like a normal, sensible human being. He's dressed like an adult. This is Ncuti Gatwa and Millie Gibson. They've hit Disneyland. So this was obviously in celebration of the launch of Doctor Who over there. They went over to Disneyland, and there they are by the Tardis. We've seen members of the public. We've seen punters outside of this. Posing for selfies and all that kind of thing, which I think is lovely. And we've got Shooties. Actually, I've just noticed he's wearing a doily. Perhaps not the best example. But there they are anyway, all smiles at the Disneyland Resort there at the photo opportunity. So it was there for just a few days, and so it's quite nice to see the stars of Doctor Who there, and they had a good mooch around. So there's Millie with the cast of Monsters Inc., which, of course, Millie's only like 19 or 20, isn't she, Charlotte? So she'd have been a kid. She'd have been younger than Boo when Monsters Inc. was released.
Oh, yeah, and she would have been a lot of the Disney, big hits would have been when she was growing up, both Pixar and actual Disney. So, yeah, she would have been, this would have been a lot of her childhood, probably going to Disney now and seeing these characters.
Do you think anyone actually knows who they are there? They just see them by the Tardis.
Not in a million years.
It's a lovely couple having a photo next to that box.
I was just thinking that with Millie Gibson wearing those shades, if she didn't notice them creep up behind them, she could have thought that the one over her left shoulder there, she could have mistaken that for Jinkx Monsoon. But it's great to see you again.
Dad, not in a 4-inch for that.
I just thought that was one of the bogeys from the first episode, to be honest. But
They moved on, of course, to hit some other attractions there. Shooty, I think that looks like some sort of ride, doesn't it? Because there's no steering wheel in that car.
It's Cars Ride. It's a Pixar Cars Ride.
Oh, I see. Oh, that's what Stanley's Oasis. That's from the film, isn't it?
Yeah, I believe so. I haven't seen the film.
Remember. I remember now. Actually, you can see why Shoot had his sunglasses on in the previous picture. He looks like he had a rough night the night before, doesn't he? Yeah, it's not good. And they finished off there back in the sun. So yeah, nice pictures. Nice pictures, I think.
With that wheel behind them. I've literally got. When I went on it, I almost threw up. It was that bad.
Mate, I'd be awful. So you've been around this park then that we're seeing the pictures of now?
Yeah, it's Disneyland. Yeah, it's not Disney World. It's definitely Disneyland. And
fabulous.
That giant Mickey gives me nightmares still to this day. When you go on there, make sure that you ask for a carriage that doesn't move. Because unfortunately, I had one that almost it jumbles you around a bit.
I see.
It's been closed ever since you last used it, hasn't it, Matt?
Yeah,
you made that much of a mess.
Oh. Yeah, especially the people below.
Well, if Shooty and Millie went on, they certainly went and got changed afterwards. Yeah, if there were any spillages or if there was any unpleasantness of any kind, any brown adrenaline, that kind of thing, then they went and got changed because they were at the premiere, the Florida premiere that night there. So Millie looks absolutely sensational, doesn't she? She looks like sort of Grace Kelly in the 1950s, Scott. That's beautiful.
Absolutely gorgeous. Love that dress. It looks great.
Yeah.
Sorry, could Russell not have got a suit or something a little bit more like...
I was just wondering about him. He looks like he's going to see... He looks like he's going to see a Smith's tribute band at the local Lamb and Flag.
He looks like he's going on a pub crawl.
Yeah.
Maybe he was.
The PR's been done in his house. Look,
I don't know if they're feeling overdressed or if he's feeling underdressed.
Could be. Yeah, there's some more pictures, some more sort of classic Hollywood vibes. They went black and white for these shots at the hotel. I mean, these are just stunning images here. Like I say, Shooty's dressed like an adult. Millie's dressed like proper old Hollywood glamour there from Coronation Street to Hollywood. Just fantastic stuff. And all smiles. Absolutely beautiful stuff.
They actually airbrushed her tattoo out.
Yeah, it's there. It is there. It's certainly there on the colour ones. You just can't see it so well on the black and white ones. But there they are. So yeah, when I see the stars of Doctor Who representing our show like this, I think it's all good. It's all good. So I just wish they'd get a bit more of this. In the UK, but it does look like a good time was had by all. And I did wonder, Scott, how it was all actually going down there, whether the publicity drive had gone mainstream, because we've seen clips of them on Good Morning America and various other talk shows. So, how much is Ncuti Gatwa, is he in danger of becoming a household name anytime soon? I think that's the question.
I would say not. Strictly because, a lot of people don't have terrestrial television anymore. And when you said that they were on Good Morning America, I said to myself just now, they were. I don't know.
Is that still going?
I didn't know it was still a thing. I mean, is the Today Show still a thing? I would imagine it is. But like I said, I don't even have terrestrial television in my home. So it's just like I have streaming and that's it. And so we don't have cable or anything. We cut the cable a long time ago. There's nothing on regular television that I can't watch someplace else and get it the way that I want it, as opposed to seeing all the garbage that they have included. So I don't know if Ncuti would be a household name until maybe a year from now, possibly.
Okay.
If the show goes well. Otherwise, he might be a household name the same way that Jodie was a household name, and I hope not, because I'll be very, very honest. Just from the shows, the three shows that he's been in that I've seen, I like him, but I definitely don't like the writing. So I think that he's very capable, but it's kind of like, Peter Capaldi, when he was given what he was given, he did very well with it. But sometimes just like Freud said, a cigar's a cigar. And I think that that poor Shooty has a lot of cigars to smoke.
Yeah, yeah. So some things definitely, even though you're not adverse to him,
Andre. God.
It seems to me that you're feeling it to some extent, but you feel that the production is misfiring somewhere.
Yes, I think that everything looks fantastic. I don't see anything, with the actual physical production where it looks, terrible. I mean, just like when it was under Chris Chibnall's tenure. I thought everything looked terrible. Everything looks just as good, if not better, than the Who that we know from New Who from 2005 on. But when it comes to the writing and stuff, I don't know what they're thinking. It's flabbergasted me, Dan. It really has. And my wife hasn't watched it yet. I watched it the other night. I go, all right, what the hell? I'll just watch it. And I did, and I went, okay, that's okay. And then I went, okay, what is this? So, and we'll get into that when you bring it up.
We do wonder, Scott, because people like us, myself and John, living in Britain, living in the home of Doctor Who, where the BBC certainly feel like they take us for granted, don't they, John? They pop up a few posters a few days before, and we think to ourselves, well, okay, maybe so we're not getting it. Maybe the people in the States are. It seems like they're not, doesn't it? Hearing Scott talk, it doesn't seem like any different how it is here.
No, it doesn't. And certainly from here, I mean, it's just complacency, isn't it? They just think.
I think so.
We're all going to turn up every time it's on, but you can't get complacent. And many shows before it have done the same thing, and they've gone the way of the dodo, haven't they? So they need to correct that. When there's this much
at stake, you're absolutely right, John. You're absolutely right. When there's this much at stake, you can't just say, oh, okay, we're just going to go ahead and advertise 2 days beforehand. No.
Yeah.
I mean, if I were in control of it, and I have worked in marketing before, the very first thing I would do is I would start taking photographs of the Tardis all over the world a year beforehand. And I would say, is it going to pop up in your neighborhood next? And people would be buzzing. Is it coming here? Is it coming here? And then eventually I would have several Tardises all at once all over the world. And people would be going, what the hell's going on?
Yeah, that's the cosmic joyride that they keep telling us about. It's been happening this entire year, and you didn't even know, Charlotte. That would have been great, wouldn't it?
Oh, yeah. And it's like, I can't remember when they did it at Cardiff. They had the water show, and they had, clips being projected on the water.
That was for the anniversary, wasn't it? It was really lovely.
Yeah. And imagine if we would have had that as, a couple of big events like that in the lead-up. That looked gorgeous. It was an eye-catching thing. It would have been a good thing but they didn't advertise it, so nobody knew it was going to happen. So it wasn't a fan thing. It was just quite a nice thing once we saw afterwards. But if they would have actually marketed that and had it as a proper fan gathering thing to, come on, let's all get together. You can all get and talk and be Doctor Who fans, and you've got this lovely little... not even little bit, they could have done more. I think that's such a good idea, but once again, they didn't do anything clever with it. But just that core idea of having some light shows or water shows and really
thinking bigger and bringing it to the general public and to the streets and things like that.
Can I ask, Scott? In the US with Disney, if you've watched any of the other stuff, did they even on any of the other shows that they do, did they do an advert for Doctor Who on those shows as well? Because you'd think even before you go outside of Disney, you'd think they would do the PR and the marketing side of it, of advertising it on their products within their own ecosystem. But I don't know if they did that.
Oh, yes, absolutely. I remember when Peter Capaldi came here with, who was it? No, not... He was doing a tour in New York with, I can't remember who it was at the time. It
was Jenna, wasn't it?
It was, yes, it was Jenna. And then I do recall Matt Smith being here with Karen Gillan and I can't remember the guy who plays Rory's name. Arthur Darvill and River Song was there, wasn't she? Alex Kingston. And I remember them doing those kinds of things. I mean, there was merchandising everywhere. There was a buzz about Doctor Who everywhere. But now it's just kind of non-existent. As a matter of fact, there was a classic story, and stop me if you wish, Dan. There was a classic story about Karen Gillan being at a New York hotel, very, very knackered, and she had to be taken back to her room because she was walking around the hallways completely stark nude. So yes. So
now that's a job I would like.
Yes, I've had the biggest crush on her for a long time. She's just striking. Yeah. But yeah, I guess that it's just, I don't think that they're putting the same effort now that they were back then. And so it's really surprising to me and anyone else that I know who are Doctor Who fans. Matter of fact, I'm probably doing more marketing than they are. I
think we all are, mate. I think we're picking up the slack for them here, and we are gasting people's flabbers and flabbering people's gasts here at Type 40 Live. As always, let's head over to the live chat and see what all of our friends, fans and companions there across YouTube, Rumble, Facebook and X have got to say about all of this nonsense. Yes, don't argue with Missy. Don't argue with Missy. Yes, we have a packed live chat again. Thank you, everybody, for all the comments and all the welcomes. Let's have a look and see who was here early doors. Vanessa Law was here. I'm going to be the first to say hello, everybody. Hello, Vanessa. Yeah, I don't know whether you're still around, but she was here at about 3 o'clock this afternoon. There we are. Good to have you back, Vanessa. And it's great to see Gaz the Man here as well. And I will be the first to reply back. I had all this one-upmanship. Good evening from Heretic in Dudley. Anyone else pre-ordered the limited edition gold 14th Doctor Sonic screwdriver? Have you seen the pictures of this, Charlotte?
No, I didn't know they'd done like a special edition of it.
They've released a special edition of that screwdriver that sold out last year, and all they've done is replace the silver with the gold. There was no gold edition on TV. One. Yeah, so why have they done that? Yeah, why have they done that?
He is the 14th Doctor.
Well, no, do you know what they've probably done? They probably looked at the orders for Shooty's one and were like, we need another screwdriver.
Can I just say the one who waits?
The one we have, yes. So no, I'm not ordering that. But hey, if somebody's a completist, I can see why they may be tempted by that. We have Richard Brooks in the live chat again as well. We've got Charlotte, that's you. More time traveling there from Charlotte. We've got who else is it? Scroll down a little bit, see what's going on. Cinnamon Toast Crunch is in with good evening all. Hey. CTC there. He's sort of smiling, but sort of not. He looks like a happy chap. Always looks that way. Peter Harrington's in too with Angry Kid, or is it Angry Jinkx? I'm not entirely sure. I think Jinkx. Yeah, we might be getting a bit angry with Jinkx in a little while.
You have to, Peter, don't you? I mean, Peter's.
Yeah. It's compulsory. It's compulsory. We've got Melanie Weston Investigates in again. Hi, everyone. Hello. And we have Cybermat Strikes too with hello, everyone. So everybody's being very polite. Boom. Hello, all. Currently stuck on a landmine watching Type 40. Well, don't move a muscle, Time Lord Victorious. We'll keep you frozen to the spot as best we can. Tom's in from T-Dwarf Productions again. Hi, everyone. All praise to the great one. Well, we would do, but Simon Horton's not here. So we'll just have to offer...
We'll pass it
praise.
We'll pass it off.
I thought he was talking about me.
Thanks for that, Tom. Good to have you back, buddy. We've got Rose Kirby in the chat too. Hello. Hey, hello, chat, Type 40. Hello, Rose. Lovely to see you. Lovely to have you back. Yeah, good stuff. There's Lord Thoth. I knew he'd be around somewhere. Of course he is. And we have Mark the Illusions in as well, Charlotte. Is that a familiar name to you? Mark the Illusions. Yeah. Stephen Braddock's in. Good to have you back, Stephen. And Sam, there's no fat on that. We like Sam. Just Sam. Good evening, gang. I'm on time tonight, says Nigel David.
Hello,
marvellous. Nigel. So are we, I think. And we've got John here from Dalek6388 with a hello all. Rob Alexander's into greetings, fellow Who fans. Happy Thursday. Is it Happy Thursday? Does it qualify as a Happy Thursday? It's not. It's Happy Friday for Matt, but yeah. Oh, it's so confusing. So confusing. Yeah. The weekend starts. The weekend does start with Type 40 Live, it has to be said. Time Lord 2023 says, I really enjoyed both episodes so far. Shooty and Millie are brilliant together, and Jinkx Monsoon as Maestro was a fantastic choice to play the villain. So there are some happy campers. Some people are happier. Some people are happier than others. We got Cloud SSJ4 in as well. That's another new name. I don't think we've seen that before. Make yourself comfortable. Cloud on your cloud. Ashin's in as well. I think Ash.
Game thing, Dan. That you wouldn't get the way they've called themselves.
No, I don't do video games. No. Ashvin's in as well. John.
Yeah, he's been online and said hello. So glad to see him here. Keep coming along.
That's it. We've got Brody in too. Hello all. Dropping in because I care about Doctor Who. I think it means yes, Doctor Who. There, overwhelmed, so overwhelmed. You had to send it in 2 comments. Fabulous. We like it. We have we've got Mark. Yes, and Mark, Andy Kidd as well. Andy Kidd and Grand Moff Miranda is here as well. Hiya, Miranda. Great to see you here as well. And Darren Bradley, he's talking about the pic we had of Shooty Gatwa up a moment ago and said that shirt that he was wearing looks a bit like, and I know exactly what you mean. It looks like a Viewmaster. Yes, I know exactly. So people, I think you have to probably be a 70s kid to really get that reference. But yeah, well spotted, mate. Well spotted. Turn what? I don't even know what that comment means. But Millie was born the 19th of June 2004, says Skodu K. There we are. And Robert Payne says, that photo is annoying. So whichever one, but we're happy to help, Robert. It's all part of the service, mate. Keep the comments coming, and maybe we'll have some pictures coming up that will annoy you even more, will infuriate you even. You never know, do you? You won't know until you stick around. My grandma used to have something similar to that shirt over her kitchen table back in the day, John. I remember those. I can't remember what they were called, though.
I know what you mean.
For Shooty, though, that's a very tame shirt. Let's be fair, folks. At least it's a shirt.
I was impressed with the belt. It's like a one-size-fits-all belt, isn't he? We've all got them from Next down the road, fits only buckle.
Well, it's the kind of thing you pick it up because you see it at TK Maxx and it's like a designer belt and it's like not the right size. It's like way, way too big for you, but you buy it anyway because it's only a £5 and it's a designer thing. And it's that kind of... We've got some comments here from President Lemon. That is funny and it's probably true, but I can't read that out, sir. It's great to have you here. And we've got Richard's back in as well. There. So yeah, keep them coming, everybody. I would love that diamond logo, says Richard. It was everywhere. You can get it on pretty much everything. That's the good news. So it's more comments, everybody, please, about everything that's coming up on the show. We've got some topics to tune into and to get your thoughts about as we're in sight of another episode of Doctor Who. So yeah, we want your opinions about that, what you're looking forward to about what may be to come, and everything in between. Keep it coming.
I need a big dance number. That's what I'm going to put into the universe. I need the Doctor to have a big, fierce dance routine that, destroys a monster with twerking. Or maybe some death drops. And that's what will drop the monster.
Doctor Who dropped a couple of monsters at the weekend, didn't it? Kind of the way you do when you visit the little boys or little girls' room at 2 a.m. Yes. So you've got 2 brand new monsters in the form of the Bogeyman and Maestro. Maestro, of course, played by Jinkx Monsoon, a figure, a character, a personality that has blighted this franchise for well over 12 months from the moment that this person was announced as joining the cast of Doctor Who. It's pretty much wound the majority of fandom, of right-thinking fandom, right the way up, didn't it? In Britain, nobody had heard of Jinkx Monsoon. We're assured that this person is a celebrity of sorts in the States, Scott. Has that been your experience?
I have never seen Jinkx Monsoon. As a matter of fact, I thought it was somebody from Britain. And then when I heard Jinkx speak, I was like, they're either pulling off a really good American accent or they are from they're from here. So I'm
getting the sense that we've been the victims, Scott, over in Britain. We've been the victims of yet more Russell T Davies hyperbole. Charlotte? We've been told that this is like the biggest star in the universe. Not according to Dr. Scott. I'd rather trust Dr. Scott than Dr. Russell.
Well, according to Russell, Jinkx is probably the biggest star ever. It's because he probably loves RuPaul Drag Race and all of that stuff. So to him, they're probably just as big as a normal, like an actor that's big in Britain.
Do you remember in the run-up to the 60th anniversary where he told us there was a huge star in the trailers that was going to be in the giggle, and nobody had spotted this huge star, and we were all going to be amazed? Turns out, John, it was just some bloke who'd been in Coronation Street for a couple of years that Russell liked. Nobody knew who he was.
It's just going to be like Exhibit A from a series, isn't it, going forward? You know, it's not at the level it was it, where you could get Kylie Minogue in? You know, this is the caliber now of what you can get as a guest star.
I mean, I'm not going to knock somebody for
who Kylie Minogue is.
I'd be very angry if you didn't.
I've gone to see a concert.
Have you really? Ooh.
Yeah.
Marvellous.
Yeah, hell yeah.
You see, I'm not going to knock anybody for being successful in their chosen career. I understand that Jinkx Monsoon, or the gentleman that plays Jinkx Monsoon, won some sort of talent competition in the States that's connected to the RuPaul, something like that. You know, I don't know anything about these things really. And that kind of world and that brand of entertainment just is not on my radar. It's not my sensibilities. I'm not going to knock anybody for the success. But what has driven me slowly round the bend for the last 12 months, everywhere in Doctor Who fandom, is listening to midwits excuse Jinkx Monsoon's behaviour, endorse their involvement, and have Russell T Davies oversell, as it turns out, drastically oversell her talent and her role in it. Also, I'm thrilled to see the back of Jinkx Monsoon, Matt. I truly am.
Are you sure?
Yeah, I was going to say.
Absolutely.
Are you sure we're not? No, but are you sure? Them ain't coming back. I mean, you know, you never
Fucking
know.
Finale.
Well, on her way out, because obviously Jinkx Monsoon is a character, is a kind of Dame Edna Everage kind of creation, but somebody who plays her.
Don't ever put them together with Dame Edna Everage. Ever.
But on her way out, yeah, because Dame Edna was a genuine talent and a proper international treasure. Yes, absolutely, I wouldn't argue with that.
He was an impersonator. He wasn't a drag queen, that was for sure. And
big difference.
He could switch it on and switch it off. He wasn't the same person all the time. So.
We're talking about switch hitters. Jinkx Monsoon has given one final, quite nasty parting shot to the Doctor Who fans in the form of this interview. Jinkx Monsoon is right on time. Doctor Who's newest nemesis discusses straight fame, Broadway success, and how she's become the maestro of her own life. She was talking to Isabel Klager on May the 10th, so this has made its way through to the media, and you know, at the end of the day, does it really matter what Jinkx Monsoon has to say about anything? You could say, because he's just one guest star in hopefully one episode of Doctor Who. John, I mean, we've had plenty of come and go, haven't they, over the decades? Lots of people that have arrived with a fanfare, and we've never seen them again.
No, and hope we don't. But I've got a feeling he is going to be back in the finale, and you know, all these comments that he keeps saying, and it's similar people like him, it just speaks of their own insecurities, that they have to bang on about it every single time they do an interview. It's just trying to goad people. And this is supposedly from people that are meant to be very inclusive, which they clearly aren't. If they shoot their gobs off like this all the time, you know, just let people enjoy things. You know, I don't know why they have to try and destroy things that people love, but they're trying. They're really trying at the moment. Yeah,
and I agree that it's somewhat of a toxic character. I think you're right, CTC, completely. I mean, this is the thing. So they've asked the standard questions that you would think, sort of, how did you come to be in Doctor Who? And Jinkx Monsoon said, well, I'm such a big Russell T Davies fan, and we've been friends for years, and all that kind of thing. And that's fine. That's kind of sweet, I suppose, when people get their friends in, providing that they're talented. But where things get a little bit more interesting is when they go deeper into the conversation. So Jinkx Monsoon gave this quote when asked about Doctor Who fandom and how they've been received. And Jinkx said, so here's this drag queen getting in the mind of this prolific writer who writes for a predominantly straight audience who probably don't even realise the person in charge of their favourite sci-fi show is queer.
No, I didn't see any of it. No signs whatsoever.
It's all news we'd never have guessed, would we, John? And Russell T Davies brought Doctor Who to everyone. I mean, this is ridiculous. Do you think it looks like Jinkx Monsoon thinks that Russell T Davies created Doctor Who? Is that what the impression that you get?
Yeah.
Well, not that. I don't think he's claiming he created it. It's like it's only successful because of Russell, is the vibe I'm getting off that. Yeah. Nothing to do with the people that came before Russell. Russell's the one that's clearly why Doctor Who's such a big name. That's what I think they're trying to say here. And to be fair, the way Russell acts currently, I won't be surprised if he thinks the same, because his ego is so out off the charts at the moment.
He is drastically out of touch.
He's boasted that nobody can say no to him in that sort of, also in interviews. And to me, you wouldn't say that unless you thought you're untouchable. And that's what Russell's got an air of him in interviews at the moment, that he's sort of this godly, untouchable being. And everything around him is brilliant and nobody can say no to him.
You see, what I feel is telling is that Jinkx says, writes for a predominantly straight audience. It's as if that's the only criteria, those are the only categories that you can break the audience of Doctor Who down into now, as to do with sexual orientation, not to do with age groups. It's always been a family show in Britain. It's the family has been talked about in generations of kids, from 8 or 9 years up to teenagers, to young adults, people of different generations coming to this show. But the only conversation, the only dialogue we ever see around it is, for some reason, around sexual orientation or identity or race, Scott. It's immensely frustrating, incredibly reductive, and in my view, it shows these people, a lot of these characters out, to be the ones with the hang-ups and the prejudices.
I absolutely agree. And if you look at Russell's tenure before, from 2005 on, you didn't see that kind of a thing. So it gives me pause. I'm like, so you had no agenda then, but you've got an agenda now? I mean, and for this Jinkx Monsoon person to be saying, oh, well, we didn't know that Russell was gay, he practically wears it on his collar. I mean, he does now especially, but I knew he was gay back then, and guess what? I don't care. What he does behind closed doors is his business.
Yeah, of course. Stephen Braddock says, I'm not a Jinkx fan due to what he's been saying, so I had to consciously separate him from the character of Maestro to enjoy the performance as a separate character, but don't like him as a person. I mean, again, I can't even remember, because the gentleman behind all these characters changes their name so often, I can't keep track of who's who. But that's how I handled it as well, really. Jinkx Monsoon is, like Dame Edna, a woman. The character is a woman, so I've got no issue with that at all. Yeah, Richard, RTD, queer, when?
No.
All these things. Russell T Davies is gay, and Richard Brooks says the Q word is a slur. We know from obviously members of the Type 40 panel and a lot of our companions out there, we know that a lot of gay people really do struggle with the Q word and reject it, and we do understand that.
But it's like you said, he did not write the show for straight people. Like, that's almost also the inference a little bit there in what they're saying.
Yeah, and I think that's where Jinkx has got it wrong, Charlotte. I think that's Jinkx that's obsessed with this, not necessarily Russell.
But if you look at in 2005, he brought it back because he loved this show and he wanted to bring it back. And I've always got the vibe 2005 Russell almost wanted to show the naysayers it's not that silly sci-fi show. It's actually can be very up there with just the same level as your top drama, as your top of the sci-fi things, your other top family entertainment. It can be high with all the heavy hitters TV wise. It's not It shouldn't be relegated to sort of, like I said, that sort of silly kids sci-fi show. And Muscle, it feels like in 2005, was like, no, I'm going to write the best I can to make this show look as best as it can. So that's what the writing's about. So the audience was about getting everybody to love it. It was nothing to do with being straight or gay or male or female or white or not. Do you know, like all those things that are now constantly getting put in the conversation, it feels like.
What might have changed my mind about this person, Charlotte, is if they'd have just said, look, I hope, I had a blast playing that part. It was really lovely that my friend cast me in that role in such a beloved old show. I really enjoyed it. I'd love to come back, but for the moment, I hope you all enjoy it. But no, nothing like that. We have crap like this fired our direction by an obsessed, spiteful, massive ego. They finish off with this to the people who have issues, any issues, it seems, with Jinkx in any way. The show that you love was created by a queer person. Get over it. See, they think that Russell created Doctor Who. Yeah. This season is going to create a lot of new Doctor Who fans. Well, we hope so. And if we lose some of the T-phobic ones, don't let the door hit you on the way out. See, it's all obsessive.
How ignorant they are, and it's just it's ridiculous. And he's not going to stop them from saying,
no, well,
I didn't create it. He's an idiot, and they're surrounded by idiots, and it may as well be more on land. It's
the same thing, isn't it, Matt? Every one of them is kind of saying similar things over the last couple of weeks. You could just swap out one
over the years,
yeah.
Isn't it?
Yeah.
It's years now.
It's ramped up. It's ramped up. It's just continuously ramped up. It doesn't go a day without them saying something stupid, And you've got this person who obviously thinks that they're trying to make themselves look like a woman now, taking women's roles. I believe Monsoon's working on the Little Shop of Horrors as Audrey, for God's sake.
You can say the monster.
Yeah,
oh, okay.
and the only thing it has anything to do with is that he's tall, and that's it. And it's just that's it. It could be the plan. Probably better working it.
I mean, all this stuff about don't let the door hit you on the way. I mean, nobody's in favour. To make it clear, nobody here at Type 40 is in favour of any kind of phobia at all. We all believe in people. Well, I just want to state that we all believe in people being who they want to be, and we've known for decades.
The majority. This is what gets me.
I don't think that they believe that they're in the majority, but I do think that they forget that the most of the world is heteronormative, and there's nothing wrong with that. I do think that it's all getting.
There's so many morons. They seem to think that they're
I think they surround themselves. I think it's a massive echo chamber, and they're all very like-minded. I think, and to the point of obsessive, where that's the only thing about their being that they fixate on, and that's what I find unpalatable. That's what's distasteful when you line it up with Doctor Who. I mean, before we move on, I just want to say that I'm delighted that this person, with their 3 or 4 pronouns and probably as many names by now, and this adversarial attitude we just saw in that quote, degenerate behaviour, and all the charm of a tarantula, I'm delighted that they're away from this show, hopefully permanently. I want to make it clear that drag queens have no more place near a family brand or TV show than they do reading stories and gyrating around in front of toddlers. It's as far as I'm concerned, having somebody from the adult world, an adult entertainer, and drag is adult entertainment, having them involved in Doctor Who in a family show is one step away from getting a mattress actress in. Where would that end? Where would that end, John?
Well, no, I mean, if it was a certain load of mattress actresses, you might get a few more figures for a few weeks, but then it might drop off, mate.
I mean, can you imagine if for the next Christmas special they said, the Lord of the Elves is going to be played by Ron Jeremy? Would that go down well? Anyway,
they'd have to get him out of prison first. Yeah. There you go.
I
Yes, guys.
would have seen, in all honesty, I would have rather have seen Eddie Izzard in the part, in his drag, because number one, I love Eddie. I've seen Eddie live. I have all of his stand-up. And, he as an executive transvestite, as he put himself, described himself in one of his shows, I think he would have actually done a better job. And the thing, you said it very well. He had all the charm of a tarantula. I don't know. I understand the character was supposed to be over the top, but I found Jinkx to be very, very obnoxious. Highly obnoxious. And... Darth Vader on his worst day couldn't be that obnoxious, okay? And I'm going to be probably the first person to have ever said this ever. And if anybody, you want to hate on me, go right ahead. I think somebody like this is somebody who is straight phobic, okay? And because...
You have to wonder.
Yeah, because I think that there are people who are straight phobes out there. So you don't, you're a heterophobe? Fine. You don't like me because I like women? Fine. Or you don't like other women because they like men? Fine. But that doesn't need to rub off on people. Why can't we all just get along, damn it? Why can't we just get along?
Well, Rich, I think Rich in the live chat here, John, sums it up perfectly. I think we should move on now, but says, I'd never seen hate in who towards sexuality ever before Shooty and Jinkx spoke out, and they are the haters. Strong words, but I can see why people feel that way. They're very loaded statements. It's very provocative, unnecessarily so.
Yeah, and I think the one thing I worry about is these people will say these sort of comments, and then one day you'll see a newspaper of some sort of hate crime somewhere that is caused because of people like this that shoot their mouths off, and it causes people to go after innocent people in real life. And it causes more and more division. I just don't understand why you've got to have this. It is a hatred towards people that are different to you. It's a show about bringing everyone together, but clearly they want to divide it and break it at the moment.
Well, look at this comment here from President Lemon in the live chat, Matt. I owe this show for my wife and son. That's why I can't just let it go. This is the connection that it makes with people, isn't it? It's usually through their family life. It's either something they watched with their own parents, or something they watch with their children, something they share with a group of friends. And that friendship, friendships weren't established because of identity in the past. They were established because of a shared interest. And that's how you get to know different people, because you like the same thing. You get involved with people's lives. Now, I think you've got these sort of little enclaves in society. I think it's a desperate shame that people feel they can only associate and socialize with those who are just like them. I know it's a tough balance to, particularly when it comes to culture, because all cultures are important. But I just think it's a shame that people are getting divided and atomized on any level. And I really do feel for President Lemon. I can't say it with a straight face when they say stuff like that.
Yeah, Doctor Who is like, especially classic, is like a good comfort blanket,
I think so.
It's one of those ones that you just want to rug up with and hang out with, and it's very much a family orientated thing. I mean, my sister introduced me to Doctor Who. I wouldn't have watched it otherwise if it wasn't for her. I know that for a fact. So, but mind you, they used to sit me in front of the TV to shut me up. But
you did say. You said, did you say rug up, not rub and tug? Yep, okay, we're fine.
Oh, yeah, no rug up. Yeah. Unless I'm going to sleep, no.
Yes, so, good riddance to Jinkx Monsoon. Most of the live chat seem to agree with that there. And, we're gonna keep moving on. And I'm happy to have them in the rear view mirror. If you want more of us, you don't just want us on your screen every now and again, you want to get us in your ears, you can do that. Head over to our home feed. That's at type40.podbean.com. The very latest podcast, our review of The Church on Ruby Road. That was myself and Charlotte and Kyle as well, Carl Wagner from the Fandom Podcast Network. We did a deep dive review, didn't we, Charlotte, after about 4 or 5 months? We all needed a refresher, didn't we? But we got there in the end, didn't we? We got to the root of the episode.
It was typical British Christmas. We got there eventually. We got through it.
So that's the very latest one. You can catch all the other episodes there at our home feed, or of course we're across all major podcatchers too. There's video versions here on the Type 40 channel. Of course there are, right next to Type 40 Live itself. Where should we go next, everybody? Where should we go next? I think if you fancy a Jaffa cake, don't go to the shops though. Just see if you've got anything in before you do anything too drastic, or you can always take us with you jammed into your pocket. Maybe, I don't know. Let's fly off and see what we've got coming next. Where are we? How about this?
It's your podcast.
Just want video evidence.
Play this podcast.
What app have you got?
I don't know. We didn't. Oh, I know.
This is the best conversation I've ever been involved in.
I'll tell you what, I'm going to send that to myself.
Yes.
Right? So I know it's you.
You'll see us all on there.
Okay.
You might change your mind when you see us. Don't say that, Sarah.
Absolutely fantastic stuff. Yes, so where were we? Yeah, so before we get stuck into anything too deep, thank you everybody who's watching there across YouTube, Rumble, Facebook and X. A lot of people watching, loads of comments. Please keep them coming. This is a heady time for Doctor Who, a kind of make or break, all important relaunch of the entire show. Lots of people seeing it for the first time too. It was important that it be in trusted hands. I don't think they had to be people who'd done it before, but I think it helps somewhere along the way. When was it Russell T Davies took the reins back? God, it's been nearly 3 years ago. Nearly 3 years ago now. And yeah, it was quite a while before he let any news of casting slip. We really had to wait for that. But as hardcore Doctor Who fans, although we want to know who's going to be playing the new Doctor and the new companion and all that, often in our heads, it's just as important to us who's going to be writing it. We were very aware that Russell T Davies was unlikely to be writing all of it alone. And nowadays it is customary, even on Doctor Who now, for a writer's room full of people with ideally good track records to assemble behind a showrunner to deliver the best possible run of a TV show. When we're looking at a run of just 8 episodes, it's more crucial than ever that any name attached to those opening credits is as good a guarantee as we could possibly want for a good time for the next 45 or 50 minutes. He kept us waiting in the end, but as is always the case with Doctor Who, word did get out about one name in particular that would be very, very familiar. A lot of us in the fan base had heard rumours about this. In fact, we knew that this man was coming back. It didn't matter how often, Russell T Davies kept tight-lipped about it and refused to say, and it didn't matter how many times the man in question protested otherwise either. So let's hear from the man himself, shall we? Check this out.
Stephen, are you ever going to come back?
Yes, I'm already back. I've been back for ages, and I've been lying. Now, some of you know this already because the press release went out about half an hour ago, yeah? So, I've got a lot of backpedaling to do. Now, if you would have noticed, I didn't ever specifically say I wasn't doing it. I said I'd be insane to do it. Well, there you go. I said Doctor Who fans might commit suicide if I came back. What an inducement. So not even to Kirsty Walk on Newsnight did I completely deny it. What I like to think is I didn't so much lie to you as studiously avoid the truth.
He's good with words, isn't he, Scott? You can't knock him for that.
Yes, absolutely.
They did. Yes, so former showrunner and executive producer on Doctor Who from Series 5 in 2010 all the way up to 2017. And Series 10, Stephen Moffat, has returned to the show in this kind of junior capacity. After all, Charlotte, He's writing episode 3 of season 1 of all new Doctor Who / series 14, depending on where you are and who you are with that. That arrives on Friday, the 17th of May, stroke Saturday, the 18th of May. Again, depending on where you are and who you are. My God. This bloke is the master of the timey-wimey. Hopefully, if anybody can make sense of any of this, it should be Stephen Moffat, Charlotte. How pleased are you to see him back?
Well, before I watched the episodes, I was pleased to see his name because I feel like Moffat is a very different writer style-wise to Russell. And I think you do need to have that sort of change. You can't have one type of writing the whole way through. You need a different voice. So he's definitely a different voice to Russell. And that was always, I think, a positive going in. After watching the 2 episodes, I'm even more happy now that Moffat's writing, because he could get overcomplicated. I'm not denying that. And if people know me, I had plenty of issues with Moffat by drawing his run with the complex plots and how over complex they were and how you had to remember 10 tons of information sometimes. But what he could do quite well was tension. What he could do quite well was high stakes. Sort of those were the things that always seemed to be well done in his episodes. The other things you didn't know, but those things. And I think after those 2 openers, we need a proper high tension, high stakes, sort of really serious almost. What can you put this Doctor through, and how's he going to get out of it? Despite
the fact that I've always thought that Stephen Moffat has a very kind face, he is capable of putting the Doctor through some terrible ordeals, and he has promised that for this upcoming episode.
Moffat, when he's how do I word this? Like when he's on purpose trying to be quite cutthroat, when on purpose he's trying to almost push what he can get away with in a Doctor Who episode, it seems to be really close to the bone. Some of the stuff he did in his era was absolutely like, you took your breath almost. It's like you went there. You did that sort of in the good way. So that's what I'm really hoping he does on Saturday now.
A sense of jeopardy and the fact that anything could happen, because we know that the show's called Doctor Who. The Doctor is the constant throughout it all. So we know kind of that the Doctor's going to be all right. But the trick is, Scott, is to sort of fool us in the short term to think that he might not be. And I think Stephen Moffat has a pretty good track record out of all the writers of being able to sell us on that. We've got a quote here from him, and he says that Doctor Who doesn't often do that kind of tension. You might think it does. It does scary, it does funny, action, and even musicals, but not tension or suspense. And that's in part because no character switches off suspense like the Doctor, because he comes in, makes a joke, and defeats the enemy every single time. So to make him the focus of the jeopardy, and to have him on the knife's edge, where there's one wrong move and he literally blows everything up, I thought that was a new thing for me to do. So the premise of this story does sound enticing, excited, and just as Charlotte said, it sounds very different from the quite light escapism of the first 2 episodes. So Moffat's been away for 7 years. Scott, are you down for this? You happy to see him back?
I'm very happy to see him back, but I think he needs to go back and watch some very old Doctor Who, because the first time I remember there being a moment where there's that tension and am I making the right move is Tom Baker saying, do I have the right? I mean, there's high stakes right there, and it's all on him, and he didn't get rid of the Daleks. So maybe Stephen might be a little wrong there, but I'm very, very excited to see him back, especially considering what we saw in the last couple of weeks. I think that there's promise there, but I'm not going to take that promise to the bank.
Stephen Moffat's had a choppy time, I think, since leaving Doctor Who. I think he took it easy for a little while, John. His Time Traveller's Wife series for HBO, that was cancelled after just one season. It seems like nobody watched it. I thought it looked like a quality show, but it could have been the wrong thing at the wrong time. And we've all seen Stephen Moffat do that sort of stuff. I never even watched it. Inside Man went down slightly better on Netflix. That starred David Tennant, didn't it?
Yeah, I think so. I didn't watch that myself.
No, I didn't either. So he's had little projects here and there in the last 7 years, but generally speaking, I think he's taken it easy and sort of recharged. I am sort of surprised to see him back, but maybe I'm not. I don't know. Were you surprised when it was revealed? Because we all did sort of know, didn't we?
Yeah, I wasn't surprised. It's just because of my view now. It's a bit of a job for the boys now, isn't it? They just swap it between themselves. So I kind of felt he would be back. Sorry, but I was excited for RTD to come back, and I thought we were going to get like 2005 again. And so far, I've been disappointed. I'm just in my mind, in the back of my head now. It's just banging away saying, "Be careful what you wish for." And I think he did some great episodes under RTD, no doubt about it. But he was better when he was able to just flesh out what he wanted to do. And I think I'm not sure whether that's going to work for him now, just coming back as a writer. So I hope I'm wrong. I hope it's absolutely brilliant and people, make little dolls of me and stick pins in it for what I've said today. But I've got to worry about this episode.
Slightly worried. We've got Geek Rambles. That's our friend, the lovely Shah. Type 40 regular, semi-regular when she's not moving around. We can keep track of her and pin her down. As Shah's in the live chat, Moff is the most consistent writer, in my opinion. Yes, he's certainly written more than anybody else. This episode, boom, is his 49th script just as a pure writer. I don't think anybody was surprised to see him back, including his former cast, Matt. We've got this. So he was asked about the actors. What did they say when he let them know that he was back? Moffat said, Matt Smith was very amused. Peter Capaldi absolutely roared with laughter that I was doing it. He said, I knew you'd go back. I can imagine him bellowing that down the phone to Moffat. Can you, Matt?
Yes, I can. It's one of those things where I kind of didn't expect him to come back so soon. But obviously, he still had stories to tell. Everybody always comes up with something after the fact they've finished, something. So, yeah, I'm glad that he's got these guys on speed dial still. Can I have their numbers, please?
Vanessa in the live chat says, I'm sorry, Dan and Charlotte, Moffat is a better sci-fi writer than Russell T Davies, but then I'm a Moffat fangirl. Lots of people are pleased to see him. I think Moffat actually writes the Doctor better than Russell T Davies does, but I don't think he writes. But I think he's bolder with the character of the Doctor. But I think Russell writes people better. So I've always wondered if the ultimate Doctor Who script might not be the two of them sort of writing a script together, literally co-writing it. Stephen Moffat did co-write lots of his stories, quite notably. So this is how it went out. So we've got this picture too of him with Russell T Davies. I love this. This always makes me smile seeing the showrunners arm in arm. They're thick as thieves. They didn't really know one another back in 2005 when Moffat first joined the writing team, but now they are very friendly, and you do see them together being interviewed and things like that, and they do radio stuff together as well. It's quite cool. But Russell did have this to say about the return of Stephen Moffat. Well, I turned my back for 5 minutes. I've had a quick look, and there's a thing that does things, and a perfectly ordinary world turned into something terrifying, and it's all in outer space. And of course, it's brilliant, beyond brilliant. It's an absolutely mesmerizing episode. I'm lucky and proud and honored to be working with Stephen Moffat, the great man. Stephen was the second phone call I made after getting the old job back. So yeah, of course they're going to blow smoke. They're going to gas one another up, something rotten. But I do like seeing these guys together. I do like seeing them working together. And I do get the impression that although there's probably nobody. In fact, Russell's recently boasted about the fact that nobody can pull him into line. I do get the impression that these two guys really do respect one another and would give each other sort of pushback on scripts and stuff, John, in a way that probably nobody can with somebody as powerful as Russell T Davies. Or Stephen Moffat, come to think of it.
Yeah. I mean, someone's got to. It needs it. It needs someone to rein RTD in, and, you know, hopefully Moff can do it. I was also going to say earlier as well, I do find it quite interesting now that you've got Moff kind of doing the PR tour more than RTD. And I feel that it's because RTD... Yeah, exactly, yeah.
Well, if you remember, during The Power of the Doctor, it was actually Stephen Moffat and during Flux, come to think of it, Stephen Moffat was doing some of the promotion for that. And when it came to Power of the Doctor, it was both Russell and Stephen talking that special up because Chris Chibnall was long gone. He'd been given his cards and bucked off.
Yeah. He's the friendly face now, isn't he? He's the one that, you know, look at him, you know, making the, like he did there in the interview, you know, making people chuckle with what he was saying. That's what they want for the PR drive. You know, RTD is the stuff he's been doing on Instagram and all TikTok and all of that. That's putting people off. So he's not the friendly face anymore. So I think you're just going to see more and more of Moffat doing this stuff as opposed to RTD.
Stephen Braddock says here, I totally agree with Charlotte. A high-stakes episode is needed now. I mean, every season of Doctor Who, in my view, I think I said the other day on the last show, it should be more than the sum of its parts. This does look typically Moffat. It looks like a simple idea, but quite a high concept. Something that other shows tend not to do. Simple principles, like the Doctor stood on a landmine for 45, 50 minutes. I think that's the general lay of the land when it comes to Boom. And something that only Stephen Moffat could... It sounds like a typically Moffat idea, doesn't it, Charlotte?
It does, because Moffat has said, hasn't he, a lot of the time he sees something like he sees something literally in real life. He did that with The Crack, with Matt's Series 5.
Yeah.
Other like ideas and monsters, he said, yeah, I sort of saw something and that sparked the whole idea of the story. So I think Moffat is one of these that he doesn't plan his story out as a story first. He just gets that core concept and then he builds off that core concept. That's how we probably got the Angels with Blink, the idea of a monster that can take you back in time, and then he built everything else around that.
Has a notion of something that people will find inherently scary, and then builds it up. I think you're probably right. This sounds pretty scary. Daryl Joyce is in the live chat, and he says a tipsy Stephen Moffat wanted to punch me in the face once. I still like his initial Series 5 take on Doctor Who, though. Don't hold a grudge, do you, Daryl? No. So this is the picture that's doing the rounds. This is the big one for the episode. I do like this. Shooty, very much touching cloth. Stephen Moffat has acknowledged that the idea for this episode actually did come from classic Doctor Who. So from episode 1 of Genesis of the Daleks, where the Fourth Doctor stands on a landmine whilst Sarah and Harry sort of furtively try to help him out of it. Do you remember that? That's more tension, but of course that's all over in 4 or 5 minutes, isn't it, Scott? Do you remember that?
Oh, I absolutely remember that one. And that's why I was going to say, is it possible that they've landed on Skaro? I mean, that would be kind of cool. I mean,
I hadn't thought of that.
What if because I remember, Davros, and I hate to bring it back to that little thing that we saw where Davros wasn't in a wheelchair, but there was a time where Davros was not in that condition, before he was blinded and before he couldn't walk or had, the bottom part of his body again. And what if we do see that Davros, he doesn't know who this doctor is.
Oh, no.
And he comes out and he says,
no, Scott. No.
Just saying.
No,
it's
Scott.
Possible. It's
no,
possible.
don't put that out there.
I knew where this was going.
Yes, the 1975 classic Genesis of the Daleks still inspiring a writer as prolific as Stephen Moffat after 50 years. I think Stephen Moffat's 61 as well, isn't he? A string of credits stretching back the best part of 40 years now since the pioneering children's drama series Press Gang, if anybody ever watched that, I absolutely loved it.
Yes.
And then, of course, the tremendous sitcom Coupling. And there was this horror series, Jekyll, Joking Apart, Chalk, all these shows, very, very prolific. And yeah, right back at Doctor Who for this brand new story, his 49th script.
I will say about this latest episode, whether you're a fan of him or you're not a fan of him, this is going to be an episode where you'll be able to gauge just how good Shooty actually is. I'm not a fan myself, as I've said, but this is going to be an episode where he's going to be in that one place. It's going to be focused on him for the entire episode.
We're going to find out whether he's got the real metal for it with this, aren't we?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. And I think also in the trailer, there's a clip of him talking about him sort of being the storm, and it looks like it's from this episode. And I think he needs to have sort of that moment of, and I said this on another live stream, you need to almost be scared of Shooty's Doctor. You need to think, I'm not going to mess with him. And possibly
there's a duality.
But we'll see until the episode airs, very much so.
There's a duality to the character at its best, Charlotte, whereby he can seem like it. In Shooty's case, he's kind of this fun, cuddly big brother who'll take you for a naughty night out when he knows it's a school night. He seems like that kind of character. And I do think we got a hint of this at the end of was it at the end of The Devil's Cord?
I know what you're talking about.
Where he's scanning. Was that when he's scanning Ruby, or was it the end of?
Oh no, that was Space Babies.
That was at the end of Space Babies. Okay, yeah, because I obviously watched them on the one day. I'm getting them mixed up a little bit now. So when he was scanning her, we saw he immediately sort of flipped a switch. He's all smiles and all cuddles and all this sort of thing, but he's already working at another level. He's not gaming her as such, but he's keeping things from her, and that's what the Doctor at its best. That's what fascinates us about this character. I knew this would happen day one, says Lord Thoth. I think he's talking about Moffat coming back.
That would
President
be the
Lemon
greatest
says
thing ever if he actually didn't. If he actually did all along was acting like an absolute twit for the longest time, and we've been majorly trolled. That would be brilliant, absolutely brilliant. And I would give Russell T Davies a big fat kiss if that was the truth,
And where would you plant that kiss, Matt? Let's get graphic with it. You can give us your answer later
on the forehead.
There you go. Fantastic. Proper Eric and Ernie style. President Lemon says, I was excited, but from what I've heard, I've lost faith. They're both equally worthless now, both Davies and Moffat. Vanessa says, I find Boom to be a tongue-in-cheek title. Here, Russell T Davies, let's drop the mic on your season. That's a very big vote of confidence there. Maybe it's not a landmine or a time device to sustain 50 minutes. It's going to be hard. But this is the man who locked the Doctor when Peter Capaldi was playing. He locked him in a tower for 50 minutes, and that riveted us, didn't it? Let's wait for the episode and then we can judge it, says Time Lord 2023. And you're quite sensible. This is a preview, not a review. So we're stoking one another's boilers here with this. But obviously part of it is us. We're judging it in a sense based on what's come before and where we like to go from here. Ian David Deers is in the live chat there. He says, "Oh, Matt, cheer up, mate, but I love the glasses." Yeah, they are. Eric Morecambe glasses there too from Matt. Do it again. Give us a wiggle. Fabulous. There you go.
Cool kid, isn't he? Yeah.
Give him the good stuff. Moff is great, says Jamie Knight. Love his episodes. I'm looking forward to it. So I think people are divided. People are cautious, I think is the word, Matt. Cautious.
I am.
Oh, I just looked at Dan Edwards. Have you heard that? Because that's going to also, I don't know if that will work if what Dan Edwards has just said is true.
Somebody in the live chat. Well, if it's something to do with the plot, maybe we shouldn't look too deep.
Jenna Coleman. He's bringing back Jenna Coleman. Oh, yes.
Who knows? Who knows? Obviously, yes, 7 years is, it seems like yesterday to me since Bill, the Doctor and Nardole were flying around in the TARDIS there in Series 10, which I really loved that dynamic. It was absolutely fantastic, but it was the end of the ride
my
from...
least favourite.
Was it really? It was the end of the ride for Moffat. I mean, he had to have his arm twisted into doing that season. He initially wanted to pack it in a while before. He'd been doing it a very long time. He'd introduced the 11th Doctor and Amy and Rory and lots of other characters too, hadn't he, in that very popular run, which took it to Netflix in the States, didn't it, Scott? Made it probably more popular than it had ever been over there.
Yes, and I think I really find it funny that people weren't as much into David Tennant until, and Doctor Who until Matt came along. And then that's when here in the States, people were really going crazy. And I was like, really? Didn't you see David Tennant's episodes? I mean, he's, if you're comparing new Who to, to old Who, I mean, he's the quintessential Doctor for the new run. And then you have Tom, who is the quintessential Doctor for a lot of people for the old run. I was corrected by somebody here recently who said, no, Hartnell is the quintessential Doctor. I'm like, we all have our favorites, but they were right in many ways. But yes, I believe that it became very popular under Matt Smith's tenure. Absolutely.
I agree with Charlotte. I haven't seen any charisma nor gravitas in Ncuti's Doctor. I definitely feel like I have, but I think that's a conversation we've already had, and we'll probably come back to it at some point. It started with this, didn't it, for Stephen Moffat, The Empty Child, seminal Doctor Who. Brilliant. From 2005, in a seminal year as well. It was an incredible time to be a Doctor Who fan, an incredible time to be a fan of TV. Generally, really, the series was absolutely huge pretty much from the get-go, and this created the meme, are you my mummy? Stephen Moffat, I think that in a sense it was sort of written even 5 years before he got the role as showrunner himself, after making this much of an impact, that he was going to be the one to succeed Russell T Davies. But the hits kept on coming, didn't they? He made an impact in pretty much every era, didn't he, Charlotte?
Yeah, I think... because I had to look back at the episodes today, because I was like, I know the big ones he wrote, but I wanted to probably refresh when you... And actually, when you look through that list, you go, wow, like nearly all the episodes that you talk about for each season, as in the high mark episodes, are his episodes. Both with his own run as showrunner and as Russell as showrunner. And I just think... he works so well because he could get underneath your skin. That phrase, I think, works more for Moffat. Like you said, he could have an idea that could either be really emotional and get to you, or really scary, or really, like also that idea I talked about with the Weeping Angels, the fact that they were something every day. And then he turned them into something else completely. Like you couldn't see statues the same if you're a Doctor Who fan after watching Blink, because you would have that idea of what if it's a weeping angel in your head. And I just think there's something about when Moffat's on his A game, he's just got writing skills that you're just glued. You're utterly glued, and you can't sort of take your eyes off the screen because of the skill in the writing this man's got.
49 stories over all that time, from 2005 right the way up to 2017, Christmas 2017, and Twice Upon a Time, and then this new one, boom. That's a hell of a lot. So before we came on, I asked you all, I think I managed to get to you all, I meant to, I asked you all to have a think. Have you got a top 3 Stephen Moffat episodes that he's written, not from the whole showrunner time, but that he's written, that have stuck with you over all this time? Go very, very quickly. Let's go through those. Give us your top 3 Stephen Moffat stories there, Scott, off the top of your head.
My wife would come home sometimes and see me watching the library episode, Silence of the Library, those two. And
fabulous.
She'd be like, again? I'm like, yeah, and those were my go-tos for a long time. And then, of course, Blink immediately after those two. So those are my top 3 right there.
How about you, Matt?
Girl in the Fireplace. Absolutely adore it. the Clockwork Men are some of my favorite villains of all time.
Yeah. Yeah, I like those too.
Heart-wrenching at
And
the
the
end,
fact
isn't it,
they've
Matt?
never returned is even better.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Well,
only because
they've
I like
sort of returned.
one-offs. You know. Well.
Yeah. We never saw them properly again, did we?
No. And I don't want to see them. But that's like my Citizen Kane, that one. And then of course you can't go past Blink at all. I think everybody on here is going to go Blink. It's one of the ones that I actually rewatched the most out of all the Doctor Who episodes I've ever seen. And then the other one is going to be a little odd because it's The Beast Below.
Really? That's an interesting choice.
I love that one. That's one of the underrated ones from Matt.
It has some of the best writing format. Yeah, you're right, Charlotte. It actually cemented Matt Smith as the Doctor for me. That speech where he says, "I am not the Doctor. I will not be the Doctor anymore." And I just that was the first time I ever because I just felt I was just
I love that line as well.
And I was like, "You are the Doctor," you know. And I was like, "Yeah."
Well, I think I had exactly the same moment.
Yeah, and that sold me on that. So yeah, those three.
Fabulous, John. How about you? You got 3 top Moffat episodes.
So number 1 for me is Time of Angels. I love it because I just love the speech at the end where the 11th Doctor literally says about there's one thing you don't put in a trap, and that's me. And then he fires the gun.
I love that as well.
See the next week the ball when they go up, and I just thought it was another moment for me that said, right, Matt is the Doctor. And I think he did a good thing with the Weeping Angels. I liked how, you know, if you see the image of an angel, you become an angel. That was well done. The next one after that would be Silence of in the Library. Absolutely love it. It's just so well done. And that, as Matt was saying a few minutes ago, that's when Moffat and Charlotte was saying that's when Moffat was on his A game. He really knocks it out of the park with that one. It's one of mine that I just continually go back to. And then my third one is the 11th Hour, because I just think it's such a great introduction to the 11th Doctor. I think it's well written. I love it. I do love the bit where he walks through, you know, basically run, and you know.
Oh yeah,
it's just perfect. I love it. You know,
moments like that.
3. Yeah, give me that. Give me that again.
And Charlotte, how about you? What are your top 3 Stephen Moffat stories?
I think everybody could have guessed 11th Hour from me, because that's one of the best Doctor opening episodes. It does so much for the Doctor, for Matt's Doctor. It establishes the sort of the comedy side of Matt's Doctor really well, and it's believable comedy, and it's written funny, because there's nothing worse when a writer thinks they're funny and they write something and it's not. And that whole bit with little Amy in the kitchen with fish fingers and custard, and the whole chucking the plate out and wanting different foods, like that could have been a disaster. But because of the writing and because of Matt, it was charming, it was funny, and it gave you that early hint that Matt's Doctor was going to be the slightly more out there, eccentric Doctor again. But I also love how Amy was introduced. Mm-hmm. How do you introduce a companion? Yeah. Have her literally knock him out with a baseball bat, dressed up as a policewoman, and then have them argue, and about lines like when she talks about the door, and the Matt's saying, "Oh yeah, of course it's wooden door. Like that's going to stop it." Like just that sort of quick dialogue, which Moffat's very good at doing, and funny again. But then for the funniness, you got the seriousness. You got Matt's gravitas. We've said that word before. You had the moment when he grabs her hands and just says, "Just believe me. Just believe me for 2 minutes." And like for me, that was one of the early click moments of Matt going, "Yes, I want to go on this adventure with you. I felt a bit like Amy almost as the viewer. So 11th Hour, there's so much more I could say, but that's sort of the short version of it. I'm going to say The Doctor Falls, because I think that is
right up the other end. Right up the other end of his tenure.
Because I love how it's this idea of a doctor basically doing a one-man stand, not having an army, not having a lot of companions with him. They were doing other things. So it was proper the doctor by himself saying, I don't care if this kills me, I'm going to defend this spot. Like, do your worst sort of mentality. I'm the doctor, I'm going to defend this land and these people. And I think the way he did Bill, that's one of the most heart-wrenching, but I think such true Cybermen stories. That they're not like robots that just make a din when they walk. They're horrible. They are humans that have been turned into something beyond reckoning. And that whole scene when she's in the barn, and then at first you think, oh, it's Bill, she's fine. And then you have that moment of, you see actually it's Mondasian Cybermen stood there. It's like
it's very sensitively written as well, isn't it? Because obviously the actors can't give the performances that we're used to them giving because they can't see one another in the way that they had before. So it has to be on the writing.
But you bought the human bit of Bill being like angry and not knowing what was going on and being confused. So you knew something was wrong, and obviously in the world enough in time you knew what happened almost to her, but you weren't sure. And then that scene when you literally hear a cyber person scream in horror at themselves. Doctor Who had touched upon that with some stuff, but I don't think it'd been as effective as Moffat in that episode. That was when... This is why people say the Daleks are scary, but they don't hit you the same way as Cybermen do, because they used to be us. They used to be human, and that just portrayed it. And another bit I love in The Doctor Falls is when the backdrop is when Capaldi's looking at the battlefield. He's looking at what used to be no man's land. I love that as the backdrop also, that it's on Christmas Day when if you know the history, they didn't fight in the First World War. They had a football match. So he's looking at the field and he compares it to his life. And he basically says, this is my life, a battlefield. And why should I carry on when I just lose people, when I just suffer, when I have to do all this day in and day out?
You make me want to go and watch it again. I have to go and watch that now.
Yeah, no, that's, as I said, I just think for what Dr. Falls was, like I said, it's a send-off, it's a one-man stand, and you've got Missy, that speech about just be kind. That's
Michelle Gomez is absolutely at her best in that, yeah. And I'm not a massive fan of hers, but I can see that she was great in that.
Capaldi's speech to her, and the fact that she did turn good. She actually did what he wanted, but he didn't see it. Like that tragedy of him thinking she was actually evil and she turned and she never went back. But we saw that at that moment. So yeah, the Dr. Falls, I think it is a bit of one that goes with, like, people don't realise actually how good it is. I feel like that episode, and people need to almost rewatch it.
You know, to be honest, I mean, this is the problem when somebody stays on a show for that long as the creative lead, is that their voice kind of gets too overpowering, and you can have too much of a good thing. And in all honesty, I think that was the case with Stephen Moffat's Doctor Who. Nevertheless, I am pleased to see him back. So remind us, which ones were yours then, Charlotte? Which ones have you gone for?
11th Hour, Dr. Falls, and because it's been said, I'll just add a little bit more. Girl in the Fireplace, because I think what was so effective in that was you had the sort of the dirtiness and the grindiness, like the grime and the dirt and the futuristic space station, with also the hint it wasn't a hint once you find out what they'd done to the crew to make that station carry on going, was like, okay, that's what Moffat wasn't treating the audience as children. He wasn't talking down. He was saying, no, look, I'm going to physically show you what I can do, sort of horror. So you had that, and then you had Renee's World, which was beautiful, which was Renaissance. I think that's when it was set. You had the grandeur of the palace and the frocks and the dresses and the French aristocrats. And just that clashing was done so well. And I just, a scene that sticks with me is when she goes into the space station because she hears the screams. So she goes through a time portal and she looks at Rose and she just says, "He's worth it, the Doctor. He's worth all the monsters." And that's one of the lines it stuck with me and I love it.
Sophia Myles is electric in that role. That's one of the reasons why it made such an impact. Yeah, 3 great picks and lots of people agree with you in the live chat. Obviously, it's a long, big contribution. 48 episodes that we've already had. Another 2 on the way. My picks, I think you've had most of them. So yeah, I also went with The Girl in the Fireplace. Pretty much for all the reasons that you've said. I think the chemistry between Tennant and Miles is incredible, which helps. But obviously, it's the dialogue that they're given to speak. It was, again, that was a tough sell. It was very, very bold. As I say, I think that he does things with the Doctor. He pushes it in a way that nobody else can without turning the Doctor into some sort of performing seal, which is my main worry about Shooty's Doctor, that Russell's going to get him doing all sorts of things just to prove that he can, just to make a statement, just to wind people up. I don't think that's fair on Shooty, and it's certainly not fair on the audience. But when it comes to The Girl in the Fireplace and Tennant's Doctor, obviously it was early on in his tenure, and that helped mark his Doctor out from the one that had just gone before. So there's that. Like everybody else, I love The 11th Hour. It's pretty much a Doctor Who movie on the TV. You've all said it so well. Moffat came out swinging with that. I'm not sure if it was Matt Smith's best moment, but it's I hate to say, it's probably the best episode of the Smith era, which is awful, really, because it was just the beginning. I think there probably are ones that are just as good, but there is none that's more iconic than The 11th Hour. So there's that. And my final pick is Into the Dalek from Series 8. The one that he co-wrote with Phil Ford, I think it was. I've just always had a soft spot for that character. I love that version of the Doctor, the original version of the 12th Doctor, who hadn't got time for anybody, who was a miserable old sod. I loved all that. And I was just really entertained by the idea, what you're saying there, Charlotte, by the notion, by the concept of what they were doing. I thought it was very novel. And I thought that Peter Capaldi really, really shone in that in a way that he hadn't perhaps in Deep Breath. I think he was a little bit bogged down in Deep Breath with the weight of taking the part on, and again of trying to mark himself out differently from Smith. So yeah, I really like that. And of course, Ben Wheatley's direction helps, but those are the ones Stephen Moffat wrote that really stand out to me. But we've got lots and lots of combinations here in the live chat from everybody. Thank you for sharing yours too. We've put them up here on the screen where we can. Just see if we've got any more that have come here. No, that wasn't Ian. That wasn't Stephen Moffat. School reunion, mate. I'm glad you liked it.
I always forget that the Girl in the Fireplace is a Moffat episode, and that one's so heart-wrenching at the end. And by the way, Charlotte, thank you for making me tear up. You really did. You really did.
Which bit?
Pretty much all of it, but it reminds me also how much, because my wedding, I built my Tardis because of my wife and my love for Doctor Who, and not just that, but all of my print collateral was also Doctor Who stuff, because I'm a graphic designer like Dan is, and it just reminds me of how much I really love the show. So thank you for making me all steamy-eyed.
Yes, so Boom will be Stephen Moffat's 49th episode as a writer on Doctor Who. These two guys seem to be back in one another's pockets working together. We know that it's going to happen again. So it turns out the Boom was written over 2.5 years ago. He turned in the script 2 years ago. And so to him, it's sort of old news. But Moffat has confirmed that he's written the 2024 Christmas special, which we believe at the moment is titled Joy to the World, and guest stars this actress whose name I've completely forgotten and not had the good sense to make a note of. So you may recognise her from Bridgerton and Derry League girls. So very much an actress who's very, very popular at the moment in the way that Catherine Tate was back in 2006. This could be a lot of fun. I have no idea where it's going to go. I suspect the character's probably called Joy, but yeah, let's see where that goes. That'll be his 50th credit working again back under Russell T Davies. Under him, I think more to the side of him. I think they're probably cooperating on this, and we've got Boom to come. So when's this on? Let's get this absolutely right. It's so confusing. So he gave us the Big Bang back in 2010. This is the Boom. I hope it's not going to end like that for the new Doctor. We've only just got him, of course. Although I think, looking in the live chat, I think some people would be quite happy if the Doctor got blown to pieces. But let's stay with it for the time being. This airs on Saturday, the 18th of May, on BBC One at 6:50 p.m. there, and of course, it's all over the streaming platforms. Hours before the one note synopsis says, landing on a war-torn alien world, the Doctor steps on a landmine and is unable to move. That's all we've got. But there was the next time trailer, of course, there was last week. Let us know what you think of all of this. We've not got long. In fact, I think it's just over 24 hours as of time of recording until it premieres there on Disney Plus for people internationally, and on the iPlayer here in Great Britain as Season 1 of all new Doctor Who continues for 2024. There's a lot left to come, but yes, I think you're absolutely right. This is a all-important... Actually, you know what? I think every episode of this season, I've said this before, they can't afford any of these to be duds. This is a crucial one, just like you said, John, for Ncuti's characterisation of this party. Absolutely has to nail this. Otherwise, people aren't going to be sold on him having the range for this part. The people who just look in on what Doctor Who's doing every few years, because there are people who do that to see if it's doing anything interesting and to see what the new one's like. So he really does need to impress people.
Yeah, absolutely. And what was it? 8 episodes in total. So, I mean, being nice, I mean, the first 2 episodes have had a mixed review. So it's got to be a good third episode, because if it's not good on the third one, you've lost 3 already. You're starting to struggle to get people to engage with it. So it's really got to be a cracking performance.
And they've already lost, 2 million viewers?
That's not necessarily true. Yeah, I mean, the ratings, this is why we haven't commented on the ratings here at Type 40 Live for the time being, because so much of it, I know it's a bit of a cliche that the way we watch television has changed, but in this instance, it is kind of true. The way it's delivered has completely changed. We'll be commenting on that here at Type 40 Live as soon as we get the consolidated figure, because it is impossible. It's impossible to say. The picture isn't as black as it's being painted in some places, but we know what's going to happen. We know what the BBC does, Matt. They are absolutely going to massage any figure that they get. They've probably got the press release written up already.
Disney. Don't forget Disney. Disney will massage their numbers.
Yeah, it's to the point now where there's that much smoke and mirrors around it that it's practically pointless talking about it. But we are going to try here at Type 40 Live as soon as we get that consolidated figure. Oh, just the thought of talking about ratings makes me want to go and go to ground, everybody. So it is time for a break. So ideal junction for you to listen to somebody who knows what they're really talking about, rather than us here. We'll see you back here in a couple of minutes whilst you listen to this golden voice and golden face. Yes, she's been there, seen it, and she's done it and got the t-shirt. Back in a couple of minutes.
What was it like? I mean, that must have been a very big moment of your life when you got to be the companion.
Yes, but we have to remember all of that goes with it now, all the hoo-ha that goes with it now, which is, subsequently it's become a
Doctor Ncuti Gatwa. He's going to be the new Doctor Who. And, of course, he's the first black Doctor Who. I mean, some might say it feels about time, doesn't it?
Look, I absolutely agree. But I think, we've had the female and I think it's about the actor. And, yes, it's great that that it's diversified, but it's about the actor. And right since the get-go, and I worked with 3, 4, 5 doctors now. So, I mean, I'm pretty...
That's a lot.
I've been on a lot of Tardises, honey. But yes, the wonderful thing about the actors, it's every single actor that has played the Doctor has given it such a wonderful, creative, and totally dedicated performances, and they've all been absolutely wonderful. So for me, whether it's male, it doesn't really matter. It's, you know, the heart is from the Doctor and the show.
And getting that companion and that relationship with the Doctor, you said you work with 5. I mean, who's your favourite, first of all?
I don't do well.
Oh, come on.
No, I actually don't. I mean, that's as a viewer. You know, they've all brought so much magic, but obviously as a friendship, then obviously it has to be John Pertwee, because we just hit it off straight away. And that's another very important thing, that the Doctor and the companion, I'm sure it's probably the wrong word these days, but anyway, the Doctor and the companion have that little bit of chemistry. Sure. I think it's really, really important.
Because it's that kind of relationship, isn't it? It's got to be magic.
Yes, absolutely.
And the series itself, it's been going for 60 years. I mean, what is it about?
I know, I'm nearly 78 and I'm thinking...
You don't look it, by the way.
Oh, thank you.
But I mean, what is it, do you think, about the series that keeps people or gets fans so hooked?
Well, you know, the wonderful thing for me, people say, what's the best thing that's ever come out of Doctor Who for you? And I mean, this may sound a little cheesy, but it's not. And that is the fans.
Oh, bless her heart. Yeah, a good companion, and the one and only Katy Manning there. This is Type 40 Live, covering all things Doctor Who, both on and off screen, the past, the present, and the future. We're still sort of surveying the impact, aren't we, of the latest season premiere, all new Doctor Who, Series 14, whatever you want to call it. I'm still here with Charlotte Shields, Dr. Scott there in the game closet, Matt Pott and John Yulden, whilst we've been talking about Boom, previewing Boom, the latest episode from Stephen Moffat, a stalwart of Doctor Who, an important figure in Doctor Who history. Of course, the long, prestigious history stretching all the way back to 1963 there. Now, Katy Manning is the fairy godmother of Doctor Who, undoubtedly, but she's one of a long line of companions for the Doctor, those all-important characters that the audience is supposed to relate to. That's what we're continually told, isn't it? For various press releases over the years, John. These are the audience identification characters, aren't they? They're the girl or the boy from a couple of doors down, maybe, or the slightly peculiar one that you half remember from school.
Yeah, absolutely. And great seeing Katy there, because Jo's great. Yeah, she's one of my favourites. And, you know, let's get her back in the show. Come on. I want Jo back. Yeah.
We sort of got her on screen, didn't we? In the, if you can call it Doctor Who, in the Power of the Doctor. My God, that was a mess. I feel sorry for anybody who was dragged on screen for that. But you know, at least we got to see her. At least she was there.
Wasn't she in it wasn't Doctor Who per se, but you know, wasn't she in a couple episodes of Sarah Jane Chronicles?
Yeah, she was.
Yeah, because those were fun. It was good to see her there.
Yeah, she had that lovely chat with Matt. Yeah, she had the lovely chat with the 11th Doctor, didn't she? In that, you know, which was great.
Yeah, so there they all are. We've all got our favourites over the years, haven't we? And some of them I think we do hunger to see again. Now, I'm aware that in the last year or two, a couple of times we've already talked about this particular matter. It's never come to pass. But I'm thinking maybe this time, because a lot more people are speculating about it now over this potential long overdue return of one classic character in particular. Doctor Who has this colourful history full of all these audience identification characters and this legacy. But the one that was there right at the start, before Ian and Barbara were, was the Doctor's granddaughter, Susan, of course. Got a name check in the latest episode of Doctor Who, The Devil's Court, very, very nicely, I thought. There was the Doctor smiling, this is a smile of a man who was at peace with his memories, at peace with the ambiguity of the situation that he's in, as he recaps his granddaughter to his latest travelling companion. Obviously, not everybody who watches Doctor Who in the here and now, Charlotte, will have seen An Unearthly Child or anything from the first season of Doctor Who, and probably won't be able to pick any companion out from a lineup. But there is something mythological now about the character of Susan, isn't there? And I think by referring back to her in the way that they did in that episode, not only was it nice at the start of an all-new era, an all-new production, it felt almost poetic, but it does kind of add an extra layer to the whole idea of the companion. It gives Ruby something to think about too, when she looks at this man who appears to be not that much older than her.
Yeah, I think we had a lot of Ruby still almost trying to figure out the Doctor at this point. So a natural question would be, what about your family? It was a very question that I think most of us would ask of a new person we were traveling with or trying to get to know. So that's why I think it got brought up a little bit, because she was obviously trying to work him out. They were in the 60s, and I think it would have been odd if they hadn't have name checked Susan, or the fact that Doctor Who started in the 60s and they were literally in that time period. And the fact that he literally said, oh, look, there's where I used to live. And he mentioned her. And I agree, with Ncuti's performance, I got warmth from him. I got reminiscing that Susan still means an awful lot to him. And
he sold us on that, didn't he?
Yeah. I'm still nervous, though, if she does come into it. Because, like you said, that character means so much to us now, especially people like me who have gone back to watch Classic and now actually know her. And I'm just like, if you bring her back, you need to do justice to this character. It can't be a tiny little cameo. You can't change her. She has to be close enough. Obviously, she's older, so there will be changes if she comes back. But she still has to have what we recognise as Susan in the character. So it's if Russell can pull that off. And on that note, I need to go.
Thank you again for your company, Charlotte. We'll see you next time. It's been a hell of a week. Yeah. No. Bye-bye.
Well, it better not be Jinkx Monsoon.
the character of Susan Foreman and the actress who played her, Carol Ann Ford, Matt, special place in the hearts of Doctor Who fans, only on screen for a single year. And in many ways, the actress she's a very particular character. She's quite mysterious in herself, quite a quirky woman, isn't she? And she's not given lots of interviews, but whenever she does speak, our ears prick up and we listen, don't we? Out of respect and affection. Could there ever be a time where it's too late to bring this character back?
Well, I think they should have done that last year. I don't want to see her back at all now. I think that they should have really have done it last year, and they really missed a beat doing that. And I think that that ship has flown. You know, I really do. I think
there would have been a poetry to it being the 60th anniversary or the 50th, come to think of it. We last saw her on screen playing Susan for the 20th anniversary in The Five Doctors, all the way back in 1983, John. That was a memorable performance. She looked stunning. She recreated the part in a kind of fascinating way. She was the same but different, very enigmatic. All this time on, the allure of the characters never dimmed.
No, I mean, I'm in agreement with Matt. If it was any other era, I'd be like, yeah, okay, I want to see Susan. But at the moment, I'm like, don't go anywhere near her. Don't touch her.
You leave her alone.
I didn't believe that Ncuti had a granddaughter. I just didn't. It didn't. To me, he doesn't. At the moment, he doesn't seem like he's he's 900 years old, or well, 2,000 years old by now, and that he's lived all these lives. He just doesn't, and especially now since he is a separate entity from what Russell T Davies wants us to get away from. It just doesn't compute with me. To me, it should be David Tennant talking about his granddaughter rather than Shooty.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, pretty much.
You know what? You're probably right. Shooty did sell me on that as the Doctor the other day, but I can't argue with that. It would have been a lot more effective had it been the 14th Doctor.
And it can be done well, bringing her back, because I still remember from several years ago, Big Finish, when they did like Lucy Miller, with the 8th Doctor, and he met Susan again, and it was very, very well done. I really enjoyed it. But in the current era, I'm more worried about what they would do to Susan, and I think you're right.
We're on rocky ground as it is, aren't we?
Yeah, and I think because you're right, because I haven't seen her on television since the 5 Doctors. There's all this imagination that's built up in my head about what she's been up to since then. I'm not sure that I think Matt's right. I think that ship sailed now.
I don't wish to be cruel, but it's one thing to bring back, because I love Bonnie Langford. I really do, and I'm thrilled to see her back.
Yeah.
I don't mean to be cruel, but the character of Mel, in bringing her back, it's almost as if they can't really harm that character. They can do nothing but improve the depth of the character, because it was such a thin character. And I know the reasons why Carol Ann left. She felt frustrated that this was a thin character, but in reality, I don't think it's quite as she perceives it. Whereas Mel was, they never really did anything with her. Bonnie wasn't stimulated by playing the part. The writers weren't inspired. So there's a lot they can work with there, and no harm can really be done. And so it doesn't scare me in the way that it. Part of me does agree with the both of you. I'd be quite excited about seeing her back this year or next year, but a part of me does agree with you both. How about you, Scott?
I'm of two minds of it, because I do agree with these gentlemen, but what if we saw her in such a way that we didn't see her? Because I did see someone in the chat that said, well, what if it's possible that Ruby is her daughter or granddaughter? So the person who dropped off Ruby might be, Susan's maybe grandmother, or maybe even mother at the church somehow. And so we actually don't see the person in the cloak, So, we get to see Susan, but we don't see Susan. We don't get the character back. But she gives us this integral thing, because now all of a sudden Shooty is with, the first Doctor's, great-granddaughter or maybe even great-great-granddaughter, whoever it might be. It would be an interesting way to kind of put a bookend on that. I don't know. I think that's a good way, but yeah, I think give us Susan in a way that we don't see her, so that way we don't ruin her.
Dan Edwards here is watching on YouTube in the live chat and says her mother, the Doctor's daughter, is never mentioned. In my mind, she's always been adopted by the Doctor, which could fit in with the current arc. That's been speculated about in expanded universe fiction before, hasn't it? That the Doctor actually adopted her, and she's not really his granddaughter. He just decided that she was, in effect.
At all.
No, I like. I prefer that by a country mile, Matt. But I do see what Dan's getting at there in the live chat. I wouldn't object to it necessarily. I'm very divided about it. What have we got here?
I mean, I would actually like it if clever writing, it came back and there was not they were enemies, but there was a conflict between the Doctor and Susan. They've been gone a long time. She's grown up and he's changed.
She's changed. Yeah.
Where she started to do it a little bit originally, didn't she? Telling him, grandfather, no, don't. But she couldn't stand up to him. But now, I think that would be quite a good dynamic. Those two going at each other.
No, I agree. I agree, because obviously this.
Maybe she left just because she didn't like how he redecorated the interior of the TARDIS.
Russell T Davies has been playing with us for quite a long time about this. I mean, he did tell us in the run-up to the 60th anniversary that he intended on planting red herrings and pulling our legs a little bit. And he did put this onto Instagram a while ago when the official account put up a picture of that moment that she left in the Dalek invasion of Earth, and Russell simply left a message there, saying a comment saying whatever happened to her, and the thinking face. Of course, it could be something, could be nothing. That's the kind of thing that Russell likes to do. But I don't know. I think the mentions in the Devil's Cord and other things we're going to come to in a moment could well point in that direction, and partly for some of the reasons that you've spoken about there, Scott. And I think there's a lot of dramatic power in potentially bringing the character back. It's been done successfully on audio, of course, but then again, most things have. I particularly enjoyed the Susan's War box set from Big Finish, where we catch up with Susan during her time in the Time War, working for the Time Lord. She's got her own TARDIS, and it's a fantastic cast. There's a lot of fan pleasing stuff in there, but it's very, very well written and well acted too. There's a lot to enjoy in that box set from Big Finish. And it sort of chimes right back somehow, despite the fact that Carol Ann Ford is like 83 now, John. There's a youthfulness in her still somehow that's still coming. It's recognisably exactly the same character. She's still got a girlishness about her, despite her human age.
Oh, yeah, definitely. And I mean, it would be good to see her again, grown up, really, really sort of commanding the scene and saying, right, I'm running this show, not you. I'm running it. But yeah, when you hear her on audio, it just takes you straight back. She does sound the same when she does the audio, in my opinion. I just hope that there's not some big change, and it's the one who waited at the end. I really hope that doesn't end up being Susan.
that could be Susan.
Because they do silly things with regeneration and swaps now, so anything's on the table now, isn't it? And I don't want that to happen at all. So
Crimpling Doubloon raises a good point here, John, in relation to what we were talking about a moment ago. Says, I doubt Carol Ann Ford would agree to appear if Susan weren't the Doctor's real granddaughter. I think you're absolutely right. I think after all these years, 60-odd years being associated with this character, a very special place in the series as the Doctor's relation, then why? Yeah, I think I would insist on that. I think if I was her, I think when we see actors who don't, Mark Hamill, for example, he had an instant gut reaction, didn't he, to what Rian Johnson was doing with his character in that bloody awful Star Wars film that they made. What was that called? The Last Jedi. That, and he really didn't want to do it, and he protested and he complained to Rian Johnson, said how much he disagreed with his choices, but he did the thing anyway. And I get the impression Mark Hamill's regretted it ever since, and has spent several years living with that and trying to get his head around it himself, having his own legend stained for him by a talentless prick. And I think that Carol Ann Ford, I'd hate to see her put in the same situation. I doubt that Russell would do that, but I think if they were to sort of strip her away, to tear the character away from something so essential to her as being the Doctor's granddaughter, it would have that same effect that robbing Luke Skywalker of his heroism when they brought him back was. It's criminal in many respects,
without a doubt. And I think let's just hope that doesn't ever happen, because it'd be the same of effectively doing it. If she was still with us, Barbara, or Ian. He turned up briefly, but it would be the same with doing it to them. These were integral characters that set the show off, and it's also disrespectful to the original creators and writers of the show if you start tinkering with what they created in the beginning, in my opinion.
Maff C says, I'm worried about fans setting themselves up for disappointment with their theories. It feels like Doctor Who is being Marvelified with these theories. I would agree with you, but Doctor Who fans have always done this, Matt, haven't we?
Yeah, pretty much.
I certainly have. I don't want to speak for anybody else, but I certainly have. Simon always has.
I see this now as two separate universes, and I don't want anything to do with the classic era whatsoever. I can watch quite a lot of the new era, but definitely not the last 8 years. I could watch them, but I'd never ever revisit them ever. And it's one of those things where you can see that they are marvelizing it, and I don't know what the future holds for it because we haven't heard anything, which is odd, really odd. Especially even by now, we'd heard about Torchwood and all this within the first return of in 2005. So we already knew that was coming as soon as they introduced Captain Jack. So I'm really surprised because it wasn't the Sea Devil supposed to start production at some point?
None of that was ever really confirmed. It was so scant. It was so sort of shadowy that we didn't even touch it on the show. It didn't even seem like we're acknowledging.
Do you know what, Matt? I think with Iger, what he came out with last week on his finance call, whatever, he said basically that they're rolling back Marvel and Star Wars shows to 2 series a year and 3 movies a year. And basically they're trying to save money at the moment. So I think they're going to gauge how successful this series is before they greenlight anything. So I don't think you're going to hear anything about spin-offs until they know that it's a banker.
But there's something within 2 to 3 years that they would announce.
I think that we're falling into the trap here of, I know this is what's common knowledge, well, what's put out there in the world, that Disney owns Doctor Who lock stock. They don't. Disney, they're co-producing Doctor Who. They don't own the Whoniverse. As I understand it, Bad Wolf and the BBC, and of course Sony, who own Bad Wolf, they're the ones who are developing Doctor Who spin-offs. I would imagine that Disney Plus will have first refusal should they be made, but I wouldn't necessarily take it as read that they would find a home on Disney Plus or would be financed even in part by Disney. As I understand it, that's not how things are. I have heard something about this, and I hope to hear something further in the near future. So it's something we'll probably return to.
Sony buying potentially Paramount at the moment as well.
Precisely, it's all up in the air, and other Doctor Who content is elsewhere. Disney do not own Doctor Who. This is something. We have lots more comments here in the live chat too about all sorts of things that Susan could be involved in the memory TARDIS, because we are going to get to see the memory TARDIS, of course, in the new series of Doctor Who. Here is what Carol Ann Ford looks like now, sort of. This was her a few months ago in a picture taken for the 60th anniversary. Looks like she's having a blast. Whatever she was doing, she's getting ready to play volleyball, I think, Scott. Is that what's going on?
I think perhaps. Or she's using her Jedi mind powers to push somebody away.
This is a dead giveaway then, that she has been working with Ncuti Gatwa, because she's obviously been given her twerking lessons. John, I think you've rumbled it.
Yeah.
Oh God.
She may have borrowed some of his wardrobe, maybe.
You could be right. So this is Carol Ann Ford. Now she has spoken to the Radio Times this week, funnily enough. Why are they speaking to her this week? I have no idea, but this is what she said. She said, when they asked her about coming back to Doctor Who, she said, as we know with Doctor Who, absolutely anything and everything is possible. The mind boggles with all the many ways Susan could come back, where and when. But I think she would love reuniting with her grandfather in his new form. Isn't Ncuti amazing? So, yeah, she was at the premiere last week. I think this was when the quote was gathered. shall we say. So some are wondering,
Were
does
they
this mean
holding
that
a
she's...
gun to her head?
No, but they had. I suppose I bet she'd had a taxi there and a taxi back, and maybe some lubrication, shall we say? So yeah, some are wondering if this is confirmation that she's worked with Ncuti, but no, she was at that screening, and she was at the 60th anniversary screenings last year as well. So I don't think we can read too much into it, but I don't know. Things are starting to line up. Things are starting to line up a little. I don't know. We've got several comments here in the live chat. Everybody's always pleased to see Carol Ann Ford. This is another thing. Just like Katy Manning, she looks great, says Ezra Goldstein. And just hearts emojis and things like that. CTC says she looks full of energy and life for her age. Yeah, I think she probably is. Craig Lightyear says Susan pushing grandfather off a cliff. Oh, you wicked man, Craig Lightower. Wicked.
Wow.
They
do like regenerating off cliffs, don't they?
Oh, it's happened. I was going to say it's happened before, but it hasn't really.
Numerous times.
Chris Lawley says, "Oh wow, I want to look so good in my 80s." Yeah, she looks really, really well. And there's some beautiful pictures put out for the 60th anniversary. There were so many of them. There's one of her here with Mandip Gill, and in a very snazzy sort of lilac blazer there. I know. I look at Mandip Gill again now, and it's not so painful to remember the previous era because it's all over. You know, it's like a really bad car journey that you've been on.
I mean, where did Carol Ann get that from? John Barrowman.
It looks like the front cover of one of Barrowman's albums, doesn't it? God,
yeah.
I won't be able to unsee that now.
Poor Mandip, though. I mean,
It looks like Rod Stewart.
Yes, Rod Stewart.
Mark Milford is happy to see Carol Ann Ford anytime. Yeah, I think a lot of us would forgive them a lot if they gave us Carol Ann Ford again on screen. She did say this too about getting the character referenced on screen at the premiere. She said it was a lovely surprise. I do like the way the new series is refreshing everyone's memories and celebrating the series' beginnings while welcoming in new audiences. So yeah, nice words from Carol Ann Ford. I don't know if she's always been as at peace with the part as she is now, because as I say, she did want to get away from it for quite a long time. But
She
maybe
couldn't, though, could she?
No, I don't think any of them could.
I mean, she's still associated with it now. You know, like you just see her and you just go Doctor Who. You don't.
Yeah. She's just
Which is a shame. Because I think she's a good actress. You know.
Well, she's again. I mean, it depends on what we're calling good. She's a very Doctor Who-y actress. She's very mysterious, very enigmatic, quirky, kooky, all those things. And so she's alien. You know, in some respects, someone like her could lead a spin-off to Doctor Who very, very effectively. Should they ever look to do that?
Give me Romana.
No, I don't think you can. In all seriousness, I don't think you can expect an 83-year-old woman to lead a spin-off TV show now. You know, with the deepest of respect, but. Yeah, I think that we could well see her back on screen. I think most people, judging by the comments here in the live chat across YouTube, Rumble, X, and on YouTube, Rumble, Facebook, and X, yes, and you got them all in the end. People do seem to be generally pretty open to the idea. She was promised Emma Peel, and she got to play Violet Elizabeth Bott, says Craig Lightower. I don't know if that's fair. Was she promised Emma Peel? This was before Emma Peel. Yeah, they did tell her that she'd be doing. Yeah, they told her she'd be doing some kung fu fighting of some kind. It was Kathy Gale when Carol Ann Ford was playing Susan, wasn't it? That's who was in the Avengers over on the other side. Yeah, so let us know what you think of all of that. Do you think it's likely, possible, desirable that Carol Ann Ford and Susan Foreman return to the show in the near future? Is this still a really seductive idea? We can't leave it alone here at Type 40 Live. You know, we've mentioned it several times. But in light of the weekend, I do think it was viable to get back there. Let us know what you think in the comments section. Yeah, the legend, the legacy continues. The Doctor and his companions in the TARDIS. To me, that's what makes Doctor Who. I think as long as it's sort of shaped generally like that, I'm pretty happy, and I can recognise my hero, my favourite show in the series. John, I mean, you could say that makes me easily pleased. I don't know, but I think the show at its core is that simple. And whilst I don't think you should unpeel too much about these characters, even the companions, even the humans, I think that going back to them as we can now, you could call it marvelising if you like, but I think Big Finish has shown having that stable of actors and that wealth of characters. Perhaps they've gone back to the well a few too many times. That's probably a conversation again for another time.
Yeah.
But I think it does show that there's the stories to be told and pathos to tap into. Maybe it is about time the series did, if not stand still now and again, kind of look to the side, look differently.
Yeah, I think so. And again, I agree with what Matt said. I think we just need to not have a back and move forward. You know, I know RTD said before about, a few weeks ago about he doesn't want to focus on, the history of the show. Fine, move forward and go into the future with your ideas of it. It's not for me. I'm quite happy with 63 to 2017, but as I said, if Saturday is about her, I'll be like, right, okay, I was wrong. It's all on Shooty on Saturday, isn't it? I'm not doing Friday. I'm too old now. I can't stay up.
Let us know what you think of all of this. Is it all leading somewhere, particularly with quotes from Caroline Ford herself, or maybe Carol's in on the joke and thinks it's all harmless? Well, I suppose it is harmless. It's only us that are bothered about it. But wouldn't it be a shame if this really lovely woman who's always supported the show and the fans now for decades, wouldn't it be a shame if she couldn't come back one more time? Let us know what you think of it all there in the live chat.
This is Philip Roy playing the Doctor.
And I'm Mandy Rose and I play Jenny.
For the Doctor Who fan film, Doctor Who Meets the Scorpion, this is the Type 40 podcast.
Oh, yes, one more thing, everybody. Just one more thing before we shoot off up the vortex. Matt's readjusting his microphone there, like the season pro that is.
It keeps dropping. It's really annoying.
You almost accidentally swallowed it then, Matt.
I'm going to get my lightsaber and hold it up.
No. Just
you don't need the little blue pill, do you, mate? Not yet. It's not got that bad.
Dan and I were thinking the same thing. Wow.
Yes, this.
Evil.
Yes.
Yes, as ever, before things get too raucous, we're going to round things off with one last look at the view screen. It's our regular eye up your temporal schism in search of the prettiest pictures from out there in the Whoniverse. We are talking traditional art, digital art, and cosplay and crafting too. It all counts. It's all in the mix, and we want it all up on the screen for us to have a good goosey gander at. If you're an artist or if you know a fan artist, you think that we should know of them and their work, put them in touch with us or us with them. That's how it works. We don't care how it gets here.
We won't
just
touch them.
Get us the artwork. No, we don't bite. We don't bite. Now, earlier on, we talked about the return to the series of Stephen Moffat this coming Saturday. Yes, Saturday, Scott. You bloody Americans. Saturday. It's a hard habit to get out of, isn't it? This Saturday for Boom, his 49th episode as a writer. And here we have Stephen Moffat at home, admiring, he's in his study, looking at his own gallery of pretty pictures and pointing with his sonic screwdriver at a very pretty picture up on the wall, all that's done by Peter Capaldi. We've got a closer look here. And this was a gift from his leading man, or one of his leading men, to Peter Capaldi. And Capaldi, who's a very gifted illustrator himself, has put some artwork on a piece of script here. And he's put his own inscription on it too. It says, Stephen, I don't know where to start to thank you for the trip of a lifetime, so I'll stop. But not before I tell you you're an amazing talent. Stay cosmic. Love, Peter. There we are. And it's an illustration of his Doctor in a sort of raggedy coat with the red seam showing there. I love it when they did that. On top of the TARDIS. The 12th Doctor did that a lot. Didn't you think he was trying to fix the light?
Yeah.
Perhaps. Putting
Could
an
be,
LED
could
in
be.
it.
And there's a little boy in starry pajamas called Rupert, I think it is, holding what looks like a rabbit, a stuffed rabbit. And they're there on the roof of the TARDIS, and the Doctor sort of frowning. I like the fact that you can't see all of the Doctor's face, Matt. You just get the eyebrows, you get the scowl, you get the hands. That's probably all you need, isn't it?
I want a storybook like that.
Illustrated by Peter Capaldi.
Yeah, I want definitely one now.
And with those long legs that Peter Harrington points out, it looks a little bit Tim Burtonish as well, doesn't it?
Yeah. No, I love the style and everything, and I mean you can't go wrong. I mean he's an extremely talented man, and
annoying, isn't it?
In lots of ways, yeah, it is. I wish I could act.
Nice, says YW. Nice, says Goldstein. Got lots of nices. That is wonderful, says Richard Brooks. Excellent piece of art, elaborates Rob Alexander watching on YouTube. Great words by Peter. It's very touching, the friendship clearly between the two. Very kind from Peter Capaldi, says CTC in the live chat. But Fly Highland speculates, I think Peter Capaldi just can't draw lips. That's why we've only got the top half of his head. I don't know. What do you think?
Feet. He's like Rob Liefeld, can't draw feet.
Can't do feet either. You could be right. Yeah, I really do love this. What do you think, Scott? Is this to your taste?
I love it. I would love to have a print of it. I would hang it up here in the studio in a minute, as long as both Moffat and Peter signed it. That'd be fun. I love it.
Wouldn't that be wonderful? We can't.
Twist, isn't it? You know, it's like the little kid. He's saying, "You won't stop my plans, Doctor. I've already killed this rabbit."
I love it.
A perfect storybook art. Not that story. Blimey. Perfect storybook. Doctor Who art, says Stephen Braddock. I completely agree. Oh, maybe we should write to Peter Capaldi and we'll get some sort of petition up and tell him this is what we want. No more of his silly albums. Did you hear Peter Capaldi's album? It was shocking. Sorry, Peter. Maybe some more of this. Maybe some more of this instead. G'day, what have I missed? Asks Pure Historical. You've missed so much, mate. You need to go back and watch the rest after we've got done showing you some pretty pictures here at Type 40 Live. You can't get a print of that, but I tell you what you can get a print of.
That's
you can get a print,
page, isn't it?
It is a script page. It is well spotted, mate. You can get a print of this. This is a piece by the artist Carolyn Edwards, and it's called Falling Through Time. And what Carolyn has done there is she's worked all the incarnations of the Doctor and a couple of straddlers, but we'll forgive you for that, Carolyn. She's
they
worked
can be easily
all
removed.
These incarnations of the Doctor.
He's picked some of them. Look.
Into a question mark design. And just like Carolyn's last piece that we looked at here, every time I look at this, I notice something different. The fact that the second Doctor's hat, for example, has left his head and is about to hit the first Doctor on the back there next to the TARDIS on the left towards the top. There's lots going on in this illustration. Very funny and quirky in a kind of Rupert the Bear way, I think, John. Do you remember those?
Yeah, I do. Yeah, you're right on that. It's very, very good. But you know, it's almost like a fight to the TARDIS, isn't it? With that in the background.
Fantastic, says Ezra Goldstein.
I'd be worried if Joe Martin fell on me, that's for sure.
No. Clever, says Tony Farrell. Good to see you, Tony. I've got to get back to you, haven't I, Tony? Yes. Good to see you. Fun stuff, says Sentai Ranger Donny. It is fun stuff. It's fantastic, Caroline. So people do seem to like this one. Yeah, I really like it. It's a storybook quality. It's the illustrative quality. It's the graphic quality as well. Very, very clever, very simple at the same time. And when you go in deep here, you can see all the little details there. The characterization, I think she captures the personality of each Doctor very, very well. Yeah. So yeah, it's worth a look. And you can get prints of this up on Carolyn's Etsy store, and there'll be a link in the description to this video, so you can go and get on that as well. It's a closer a closer look. Arts and crafts.
Trousers.
What was that? Sorry.
Thankfully, she gave Shooty trousers as well.
Oh yeah, upside down. We'd be seeing all sorts, wouldn't we?
Yes, thank heaven.
Something's a dangling.
Yeah, we definitely see the hoofer doofer if we got any closer than that. It's even better close up, says Tony Farrell. Yeah, and Carolyn, she does the convention circuit as well, and often works on pieces while she's there, so you can see a lot of these up close and decide whether you want to invest in prints or not.
The time, Dan.
Yeah. Good point. Nothing to question. Superb artwork, says Stephen Braddock. I completely agree. I want to finish off with this one, though. I don't know if he painted this a long time ago, but it was the first time I'd seen it. He was in the chat again earlier on. This show has become a bit of a Daryl Joyce fan club. No apologies when he keeps banging out beauties like this. This is the cliffhanger to episode 1 of Carnival of Monsters, the classic Jon Pertwee story. This was the first Jon Pertwee story that I ever saw back in 1981 as part of the 5 Faces of Doctor Who repeat season, if you remember. And this cliffhanger in particular really stayed with me. You know, I drew a little illustration of it myself, and like I was 6 or 7 years old, and obviously when I saw it again on VHS, Scott, I had that moment where it didn't look quite as good and quite as scary, quite as uncanny as I'd remembered, you know. But Daryl's kind of brought some of that back here with this fabulous mixture. I think it's a mixture of digital and paint.
Yeah, that's lovely. I'd love to see his process, how he did it. I mean,
again, I think he does put his process up on some social media platforms. Yeah, I think it's on his Facebook page.
I'll have to check that out.
Beautiful stuff. So he's done, obviously, Daryl, his book is the illustrated journey, and I think there's a picture for each story, certainly of the classic era, various places that the TARDIS landed and dematerialized, and some bits in between too, basically whatever captures his imagination. What else have we got here? We've got some comments. Daryl, that is amazing, says Richard Brooks. Completely agree. Fantastic, says Ezra Goldstein. Great texture on the hand, notes CTC. Yeah, that's what I liked about it as well, because obviously you've got the harsher light of the inside of the ship, but there's a kind of etched quality to the hand and to the flesh. Makes it look like one world breaking into another, John.
Yeah, it is really good, and you know, when I see things like this, I instantly want to just go and stick the episode on, because I haven't watched it in a while. So thank you, Daryl. I think I'll probably stick that on after the show.
Chris Lawley says Carnival of Monsters is one of my favourite ever episodes. Rob Alexander says too, my favourite Pertwee. Excellent work, Daryl. And Daryl he's still awake, he's still up, he's still sober. Or maybe not the last one. He says, hey up, more cliffhangers soon. Drawing Drashigs tonight, Matt.
Brilliant.
I love a Drashig.
Ooh. Tony says, love the talon-like hand. That's exactly right. That's just what it looks like. I agree completely. A Carnival is a 10 for me, says Troy. A 10.
Wow.
And Richard recommends Daryl's book, The Illustrated Journey. Go buy it, folks. Go buy it. I really love this. And I don't know, when I saw it for the first time, this picture this week, it just reminded me how much I love that story. I'm not a Pertwee guy, but because I saw it at an impressionable age, John, you know, it was part of my childhood, this story. So thank you. Yeah, I agree. It has sort of brought it back for me and kind of made me want to go and watch it again. I can't recommend you check out as much of Daryl's work as you can possibly get in front of your eyes on whichever device. However, as always, if you know a fan artist or you're an artist yourself, a professional artist, come to think of it too, and you'd like us to pimp some of your wares, we'd be more than happy to do that. There's plenty of room in our TARDIS as well. God, these walls do look blank. They could do with some fan art up there in the real TARDIS as well, couldn't they? Yeah, so send us their way and vice versa. We want that work up on our view screen from their website, their DeviantArt page, their social media account, wherever there's an artist that's caught your imagination and you feel like you want to share it with us, we're more than happy to get their work up on our screen. Carnival was the one and only appearance of the Cybermen in the Pertwee era, remains pure historical. It was, wasn't it? Very good, very good. Those cheap railings, says Richard Brooks on about the TARDIS again. Yeah, it captures people's imaginations. Character options Drashig is an amazing hand puppet. Yeah, I quite fancy one of those. Kenny Smith from the Power of Three podcast has one of those. He's an absolute lunatic. No surprise, really. Yes, so you can get in touch with us through our social media. That's Instagram and X at Type40 Doctor Who. That's where you can get in touch with us at pretty much any hour of the day. Whichever time zone you're in, we're listening and we want to know. If you want to cut out the middleman, easiest thing to do is to join us in the Type 40 Facebook group with lots of regenerations worth of other Doctor Who fans and maybe people you already know. Yeah, I'm not saying all of these guys are members of the Type 40 Facebook group, but, one or two of them maybe. And the only way to find out that for certain is by hitting us up over there on Facebook and joining in with our Facebook group. Thank you for joining in, gentlemen, on this edition of the show. It's been a blast. It's been great to catch up with you, Scott.
It's been fun. It's been a while. I think February. I think.
Been a few months. So I said it's been a blast. The Doctor looks a bit worried considering what's coming up at the weekend.
Where's Millie? That's what I want to know.
So what's obviously, Scott, you've got your own YouTube channel, your own social medias. Where can people find you if they want to hear more from you? And tell us about your YouTube channel again.
Well, the number one place you can find me is on Game Closet on the YouTubes. On YouTube, I have a comedy video game channel, so I do not do a lot of live streams or anything like that when it comes to playing games, but occasionally we do a live stream talking about video games and stuff like that, and we'll be doing one this evening, as a matter of fact, here in a little bit, because we have 3 huge game cons that are in Ohio, and we'll be talking about those, and we'll have a few surprises. I have a couple of surprises even that my cohorts don't even know about, and yeah, that's where you can normally find me. Also Facebook on Game Closet on Facebook. There we go. I'm doing it backwards because I think I might be dyslexic. So, but yeah. So if you need a good laugh, and some of my stuff is a little skit heavy, some is not, but I will definitely have you laughing one way or the other. If not, your money back.
Are you trying to say that you're full of skit?
Yes, I am absolutely full of skit.
Brilliant. Such a good sport, Scott, and always good company. Thanks for joining us on this edition of the show. Matt, you're the only real-life time traveller here. It's Friday for you. It's Thursday for us. How is Friday looking at the moment?
Just a day away from Mr. Gatwa's third, 4th episode.
Next opus.
Yeah.
Who are you going to be rooting for? Who are you going to be rooting for, Matt? The Doctor or the Mine? That's what we want to know.
Do I think we know the answer to that.
If I answer it, it may incriminate me. So no.
Oh yeah, you don't have to answer that. But thank you as always for your company, mate. Hope to see you next time, John. Another belt of a show, mate. Thank you for your contributions too. How's the weekend looking for you? You obviously Doctor Who. You'll be right on the iPlayer at midnight. Obviously, who wouldn't be? But apart from that,
I'll be swigging back the stimulants to keep me up, so I can watch it at midnight. And yeah, other than that, I think it'll be sleeping for the rest of the weekend to get over staying up for Doctor Who on a
Stimulants? Haven't you worked out yet that that's not the way? Well, are jam tots stimulants, yeah. Matt? Do you think they count? Sort of.
Depends on if you lick them or not.
Yeah, I think Ian David Diaz would say that they probably are. Yeah, thank you everybody for your company. Thank you to Charlotte Shields as always, and to our mods there in the live chat on YouTube, Rumble, Facebook, and X, Lord Thoth, Vanessa Law, and everybody else. Ian David Diaz, he was there as well for a little while. I think he's back at the grindstone now. He's off filming something somewhere up to his neck, or at least his knees, in all sorts of crap. Heaven knows what he's got up to this time. doing anything he can to get out of talking about Ncuti Gatwa's take on Doctor Who. Join us again next week. Same time and space. Maybe you're gonna have to turn on your notifications to find out for certain. You've got to tweak the knobs and the switches and pull the levers, all that stuff. That way you'll get more rambling and rattling, ranting and raving through space and time on the next Type 40 Live. We continue our plummet into season 1 of all new Doctor Who. It's still early days. I would say that if you aren't enjoying what you've seen so far, if you're not convinced, there's lots of episodes left. It's all left to play for, in my opinion, and perhaps there will be something for everybody across these 8 episodes. I stand by what I've said before. They can't afford for any of these to be duds. Obviously, I would say results may vary. I would say that it's more divided on what we've had so far than some commentators would have you believe. But more than anything else, I just hope you have a bloody good weekend. And that if you are going to watch new Doctor Who, if you are in still with all new Doctor Who, that, you know, nobody wants to waste their time. So I do hope you do get some enjoyment out of it when you crank the lever and head off into space and time. Yes, we always have the time if you have the space here at Type 40 Live. We'll see you on the next one. Have a great weekend. Go boom. Bye-bye.
Yeah.